What is up, RotoGrinders? 3.5 hours nonstop NFL DFS conversation starts right now, 9:30 on the East Coast. You're kicking off in Germany. The Colts and the Falcons were in double digits. It's week 10. We got myself, $400 million winner Bobby Gomes, TastefulTides, Tim Buell, single entry specialist, single three-entry max, cash game. He does it all. This is the week, boys. This is the week where either you have really low expectations or you're not going to like your lineups. You shouldn't. I don't like my lineups. I was kind of messing around. At least one player in every lineup is just like, man, this is a real stinker. Salaries go up and they creep up and they creep up. And, last week we got bailed out with some injuries. There's really no bailout this week. Really no bailout this week. And, Bobby mentioned pre-show talking about Kyle Williams. So I guess is, getting into, the absence of Booty being out for New England. So that's one of the so-called, saviors, one of the cheapies that can help make things work for us. 3K on DK. I think he's 4-1 on FanDuel. 10-game slate, so it's not even a huge slate. Three late, 7 early. I don't know how you guys feel, but I do not. I was making lineups on FanDuel. I hate the lineups I made on FanDuel. There's like one player in each lineup I like, maybe 2 or 3. I might be exaggerating a little bit. Little hyperbole, but Bobby, how about yourself? Are you enjoying the lineup making process today? I've not enjoyed it. And the other thing is, there's really nothing that we're waiting for. Like, there's no injury. Like, oh, well, if this guy's out, basically everything's been settled. Trevion Henderson, it's his backfield once again. Well, mostly in New England. We already have Stevenson ruled out, but there's really nothing else unless I'm missing something. Ted McMillan expected to play. Swift expected to play for Chicago. He'll be splitting with Benunga in some way. Speaking of, there is some weather there. Let me go ahead and drop Kevin Ross weather report in the chats. It is orange. What's up, chat? Hit that like button, subscribe, turn on those notifications, do all those things that help us keep the lights on. Yeah, it is orange in Chicago. We have a 37.5 total. So with the Jets and Cleveland, whatever's left of the Jets. So there's a couple really gross games. So we have several games that are closing in on the 50 total, but you got to pay for them. Bobby, good morning. Do you share my my thought that you're making the worst lineups today than you made all year? That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, the cap's pretty tight overall, so I think you're kind of pigeonholed into taking shots on receivers like Ray McLeod and guys like that. We mentioned Kyle Williams. I would say I did not tout Kyle Williams. I didn't
say that, did I? I don't think you were touting. We just had the conversation.
I just didn't want the chat to interpret it that way.
Yeah, but I'm still going to play him because I have to.
Kyle Williams. Yeah, it's a tough slate. Cap's tight. It seems like a tough slate, but I'm having a really good morning, Dean, so I'm not really worried about the construction of the teams or anything like that. Like, it's DFS. We're all playing with the same board, right? So
non-DFS related, just in general, like the coffee's good.
The pumpkin spice is fantastic this morning. I went to the drive-thru 25 minutes away just so I didn't have to walk out of my car for the Dunkin' Donuts that's 5 minutes away. So
is it cold?
What?
Is it cold?
It's a little cold, but I'm just lazy. Like, I could get up and, like, Charlestown's over the bridge. I can go to that Dunkin' Donuts, but I drove to Seldy, so yeah. One of the drive-thru was nice. It's just been a good morning. Got hot chocolate for my kids, coffee for my girlfriend, and but the way this slate's breaking down, like in terms of the quarterbacks, it's interesting because I think that what I'm really interested in is where you guys are in terms of like a cash game quarterbacks. I'm trying to figure out like who's going to be my single entry guy, whether I want to spend up or spend down. I might have a pivot that's different than what you guys are going to do, and I'm just interested in what that is. Very interesting. You can just figure out who it is. Like, I like the Minnesota-Baltimore game a lot. I'm trying to figure out the ownership on JJ McCarthy.
He's
4,900
some DK stuff as like cash game playable for some people.
I think he's cash game playable on DK, but I'm not like the cash game mind here. It's like Tim and obviously Dean's like just loves cash games. Like, he's salivates over getting in the cash game street. So
I get to double my money.
Yeah, he gets to double your money.
Roscoe appearance, by the way. Roscoe made an appearance.
That's pretty much what I'm trying to figure out. I don't know. I don't know. I kind of like this slate. I like when the cap's a little tight. You have to make some tough decisions, and we'll get into some of those. So excited to hop on and talk about it with you guys.
Yeah, I want Tim's thoughts. Tim, of course, gives his thoughts as far as cash games. He's in those streets more so than I am. So I'm going to yield to Tim. But yeah, McCarthy is hit. He was hitting some stuff that I was running earlier. He's currently, if I ran using the RG projections, 29% of the lineups I hit. He's in it on DK. DK, to be clear, it's DraftKings, not really hitting FanDuel. Josh Allen, Lamar. So spend all the way up for Lamar or Allen, or spend down on McCarthy. On FanDuel, it's possibly Mariota, just because he's so cheap over there, and then it's even tighter, I think, on FanDuel this week. Let's bring in Tim. Tim, answer Bobby's question as far as quarterbacks for cash. You're probably bouncing back and forth because it's kind of like a 2v2, right? But how are you seeing things? Good morning. Are you having just as good a morning as Bobby is?
It doesn't sound like I'm having nearly as good a morning as Bobby. Bobby sounds like he's having a fantastic pumpkin spice latte. I don't have Dunkin' Donuts near where I live now, so I don't get any treats like that, unfortunately. But yeah, this is going to be a really interesting week. I run optimals for the show, for cash game purposes. I obviously run sims for GPPs. It's just JJ McCarthy everywhere on DK at 4,900. I was kind of hoping that would change throughout the week, and it really hasn't. I have never been more kind of sheepish to follow the optimizer as I am this week. No, I'm not crazy about this JJ McCarthy idea. I get it though. I mean, he's cheap. We don't have much value, if at all. So it makes sense to spend down at quarterback. I kind of prefer Marcus Mariota, but I could see, and then I can also see getting up to Drake May or Lamar Jackson if you find that you want to sacrifice a lineup spot here and there. But it's looking. I don't think I'm going to be playing JJ McCarthy this week in cash games. So I'm just going to say that right now. Like, despite the fact that I usually do follow projections when it comes to cash, I don't think that's going to be. I don't think I'm going to be doing that this week. I think that. The jury's still out on JJ McCarthy. Like, this price could end up being way too cheap for him in a few weeks. I'm not really sure, but I think that I just feel a little bit safer. I think Lamar Jackson's price is way too cheap. So I think Drake May in the matchup he's in is way too cheap. And then, Marcus Mariota for only $400 more. I think he's a little bit safer than JJ McCarthy, but it definitely it's pretty close between those two. On FanDuel, I do think it's Marcus Mariota that you're playing in cash games, which sounds awful, but I think that is what you're doing over on the FanDuel slate. Even though optimizers are still giving out JJ McCarthy on FanDuel.
So what I ran here on FanDuel is actually somewhat surprisingly, it's pretty flat. Baker Mayfield at 20%, which I was pretty surprised to see. Drake May 19%, Josh Allen 19%, Mariota 14%, McCarthy 10%, Lamar 6%. I just maybe I have to run this again, but and I have a little bit of variance added in there as well. But I was kind of surprised to see Baker, be the top guy on FanDuel. But it's tight, it's close. And
it is close. I am getting to some Baker on FanDuel at 7,900. I did want to just touch on something real quick that I saw in the chat. Mac Jones at 5K. I think he's completely. I think he's a pretty decent play as well as a pivot off of JJ McCarthy. And if you're more comfortable with that over Marcus Mariota, I don't have a problem with that. I think that's one of the reasons why I don't really like JJ McCarthy this week, because I think that there are safer plays right around that same price point. So that's why I don't necessarily want to take the chance on him.
You said the jury's out in McCarthy. We haven't really seen a situation where he's been unleashed. They let him actually do things. He's been kind of like, quarterback, game manager, that kind of thing. We haven't seen him really down significantly. I think he's less than 160 yards in his first 3 starts of his career. but there's certainly a chance. You want him to be down, obviously, because otherwise he's just going to be game managing his way, and that's the best way this game gets loose, I think, is if Baltimore gets an early lead and we see JJ chasing. Bobby, did you have something on Mac Jones, or you
So I feel like I led the conversation in the wrong direction, because are we sure that like JJ McCarthy is probably going to be the cash game quarterback? Like I thought it was going to be Allen or Lamar or May. I just want to know if I could play a guy like McCarthy in my 3 maxes is what I was trying to figure out.
I don't think he's going to be overwhelmed. I don't think he's going to be overwhelmingly chalk. I think he is going to be played in some cash games though. But I think you're right. I think some people are going to go Lamar or Drake. I think even Josh Allen might perhaps be in that conversation as well. But I do think that people are going to be showing up with JJ McCarthy in cash games this week.
So if I had to guess, I think the guy that most people are going to show up with is probably, this could be me. I think it's going to be Drake May, but maybe with Booty being out, like people won't go to May. May has
it's more reason to do it, not to cut you up by more reason to do it because it's easy to pair him, right? We're probably going to play some Williams. Henry looks pretty good. Diggs looks all right. If you want to pair him with Trayvon's going to catch the ball. So I just think he's just got some good stacking partners.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to get played, but probably Lamar in 3 entry max is probably going to be the most popular, I think. If not Lamar or Allen, I think one of those.
Because of Zay Flowers, you would say, right?
Correct. Yeah. Allen's trickier because there's no clear and obvious partner. Because he throws like 8 different guys and nobody runs like more than 70% routes or whatever it is.
Yep.
All right. We'll touch on as far as cash games. We'll be doing our tiers momentarily. It's Superstar Sunday. It's Superstar Sunday. Get yourself a week free of RG Premium. How do you do that? You tell me what superstar I'm talking about in the Discord channel, RotoGrinders.com/Discord live stream chat channel. Producer TJ, he'll be jumping on later. He'll probably be jumping on throughout the show as well, periodically. But he's on Crunch Time later on with, I think with Will, if I'm not mistaken, fairly certain. Yeah, Crunch Time 12:15. Around 11 o'clock, you have Neil, Kristi, and Jordan for GPP Final Takes. First clue is scrolling right now, so it's not the best clue. We got to get it out of the way. It is HOF. Tell me what superstar I'm talking about in the Discord channel, RotoGrinders.com/Discord live stream chat channel. Get yourself a week free of RG Premium. We'll drop another clue soon enough and get you going. Tim, you want to finish your thoughts as far as cash games today? Cash game core, I guess, is sort of the question. I think it's tough. I think cash is tough today, and in several decisions, at different tiers. But how would you give me the core plays? How is it different? FanDuel, DK.
Yeah, so I mean, you're definitely going to be having Rico Dowdle and CMC in your cash game core on DK. That's no question about that. Those 2 are definitely staples this week. Probably Zay Flowers as well at 5,900. And then kind of the decision about what to do with Puka Nacua, whether or not you're going to be playing him in cash. I think tight end is pretty wide open as well. And then I think some of these value wide receivers are kind of in question as well. So, but I do think that you're definitely starting out with Rico and CMC. You're probably going to be getting to Zay Flowers. And then it's kind of up to you what you want to do with Puka Nacua. He's definitely, he's always a strong play, right? Like he's always somebody that you can play. But, it's definitely, you could be playing JSN as well at 8,600 over Puka Nacua. So, Devon A-Chain at 7,400, I think he's pretty close to a cash game play as well. So, there's definitely different decisions to be had, but I think you're definitely starting off with Rico, CMC, and Zay in your core on DK. And then FanDuel, Travion Henderson at 5,900. He's probably part of the core over there. Really, really cheap. did just get a report that they're going to be utilizing him even more this week. I don't know if that necessarily means anything. I don't really care. He's still too cheap, even if he just has the same usage as last week. So he's definitely a part of the core over there. I still think CMC should be part of your core on FanDuel at 9,700. And then I still think Zay Flowers is a really strong play on FanDuel at 71. So I mean there's definitely like 3 or 4 decisions that you could go in a different direction with this week in cash. But I think it's definitely some of those running backs are definitely just core pieces in cash this week.
Shout out to X in chat saying these guys look homeless. Did they not see Bobby's? I mean, look how beautiful his home is. They don't realize. How does Bobby look homeless? Maybe me, possibly.
Tim probably plays a lot of showdown. Mistakes. I'm just sick of me taking his money.
Are you guys playing any Atlanta Indy showdown? The game kicked off, right? Anything interesting happened the first 17 minutes or so over there in Germany?
No.
It's 0-0. Oh, looks like Indy's got the ball at the 1. So it looks like Doolin, a 22-yard carry. So I'm not sure if anything happened to Taylor. He just like a breather, but all right, there you go. Looks like Indy is about to score. Heads up for those that are in those streets. All right. Anything else we should say as far as cash games? You guys, do we care, Bobby, as far as the weather? I didn't mean to gloss over it. I imagine Roth will give an update at some point. It is officially orange in Chicago. Wind still on track to be around 20 miles per hour sustained. Gusts pushing 30. Any rain, snow comes pregame, not in-game, so that will not be an issue. Still, winds alone could be problematic for longer throws and special teams. I'm just reading what Ross said. Is it catastrophic? We can't throw in this wind? I don't think so. Is it impactful on longer throws and kicks? Yes. And I imagine we'll get an update on that as well. Curious if that line changed at all as far as the total. Where is it at right now? 46.5. So not really. It's not. I'm seeing it open at 43.5, which is strange. But okay. Do we care, Bobby? Are we freaking out? And I don't even know if you like that game in general.
For me, I wasn't going to play much Ray McLeod if that was the case. Like if people are actually going to play him, not really getting there. And then on top of it, where it would have impacted it the most if Swift had been ruled out when he had the Q tag, and then I get to the guy I want to play in that offense, which I'm not going to get to now, and Manungai. So yeah, that was pretty much what I was hoping for, and now I just don't really have a ton of interest overall.
Yeah, and Dart, the points being made in chat, Dart gets a lot of his points via the legs. So I'm not terribly concerned with him. I think Wandale's kind of interesting because he runs so many short routes. I don't know what his ceiling is, but he probably can catch a bunch of 5-yard catches for what that's worth. You mentioned Ray McLeod, another one of those cheapy, terrible options we're considering. Kyle Williams, we talked about him. Cedric Tillman is back today. Get excited. He's 4K on FanDuel or 4-1. He's the same price I think as Williams, if I'm not mistaken.
35 on DK.
Yeah, coming back from a hammy, there's no reason to push him, but I guess he's fine. Dylan Gabriel throwing the ball.
This is his first game with Gabriel too, which makes me even more concerned. And just that whole macro environment of that game, a very, very low total. Like I was considering Tillman in cash games, but I was like, I don't know if I can do that.
Jerry Jeudy's only 400 more.
Right? I know.
He's been there the whole time. He's been. You may not have noticed. He's been there. He hasn't really done anything.
What better time to pop in for the very first time of the show to say you can play both of them and just play Dylan Gabriel?
Oh no. Oh my God.
It's disgusting. I don't think it'll work, but you can play CMC, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and Puka Nacua all in the same lineup if you do it.
Yeah.
Do not play Dylan Gabriel. Do not play Dylan Gabriel. He usually has some great takes. That was not.
What about Judkins though?
Judkins
is showing up a ton. Yeah, Judkins is showing up a ton on FanDuel. I think Judkins you can play in cash games on FanDuel. He's showing up a ton over there. I just again, I just have concerns about the environment of that game. But 6,500 on DK, like if you wanted to go three RBs, I think Judkins could definitely be in the conversation if you didn't want to pay up and for that fourth. See, a lot of options right now are putting Puka Nacua in the flex, and I also think you could put GSN there or Monra in there. But if you didn't want to do that and you wanted to go 3 RB and maybe pay up a little bit off of one of these value wide receivers, I think that's an interesting construction for both single entry and cash games.
All right, let's dive in. Let's do it. Let's do our tiers. The people are clamoring. I just realized I forgot to tell TJ the answer today's Superstar Sunday, but there is the answer. I don't believe anybody got to it and won in the Discord channel. It's not Derek Jeter or Ray Lewis or Dirk Nowitzki or Warren Moon, Dick Butkus, Troy Aikman, Marcus Allen, Superstar. Yeah. All right. Let's today's tiers category. I kind of teased this. I mentioned this to you, Tim. We didn't really have the conversation, but you guys can tell me who I left out. Chat can tell me who I left out. This is individual touchdown celebrations, best individual touchdown celebrations, and I'll just tell you, it's an homage to Chuba Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard just spectacular last week, and it was just not it was a combination of not just a celebration, but his quote after the game. Chuba, 2 pumps, not 3 pumps, 2 pumps, and he got flagged. And, he said in the post-game interview, like, from my understanding and everything I've learned, we go over stuff like this every single week in the meeting room. I definitely think you're supposed to get 2 pumps. So as far as I know, that fine still stands. But, the combination of the quote and the 2 pumps, Chuba is in the 1 hole. I'll just tell you, like, that was my favorite. Bobby, do you have a favorite individual touchdown celebration that comes to mind? You are on mute, sir. And
I think TJ put me on mute because my daughter was going crazy.
Oh,
Deion Sanders, the high step. I would probably be the one that. I think that's the chalk, right? Probably.
Well, no, I mean, it wasn't. That's not what I thought of. That's something he did before he even got in the end zone. But yeah, I guess that was kind of, yeah, sure. Deion, he would high step when he was in the clear for 20 yards or so. I'll tell you what did like remember the Joe Horn cell phone TO?
Yeah, Joe Horn. Yeah, the cell phone. Yep. And what about Randy Moss mooning everybody?
There we go. And
is he on there?
The most memorable thing about that to me was Joe Buck losing his mind, just completely overreacting. That is a disgusting act. Like, he didn't actually moon anybody. He just pretended. He was just having fun. I can't remember who it was. Who was the one with, like, the dog peeing? I can't remember who that was. Maybe that was a college thing. Like, that might have, I mean, I don't know. If you want to say disgusting act, Joe Buck, whatever. They're having a good time. But, Randy's full moon did make it on the list. T.O., like, running to the star. I didn't get that one. Or T.O. with the Sharpie, or T.O. with the popcorn in the Salvation Army bucket. Was that him in the Salvation Army bucket? Maybe that was Zeke. That might have been Zeke. What do they have in the chat? Is chat throwing out? Lambeau Leap, but that's like, there's not like one specific person for it. But that is a good suggestion. Icky Shuffle, if you're old enough, you remember the Icky Shuffle, Icky Woods. Gronk Spike getting thrown out there in the chat. But yeah, we can go ahead and give this a full reveal. Like I said, tier 1, Chuba's 2 pumps.
It's Rico, by the way. It's not Chuba. That was
really?
Rico.
Yeah, why am I saying that? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you for clarifying. Why? Yeah, I wrote it down wrong, and yeah. Well, TJ has modified this list. Okay, so TJ did some editing. 2 was the Marshawn Lynch, the crotch grab, but TJ spelled it differently here on the board. How do we pronounce that, TJ?
Dude.
I think the OBJ whip should be on there.
I don't remember him scoring touchdowns. He scored touchdowns? Oh, Victor Cruz's salsa dance. That was a good one.
Yeah.
Randy's full moon. Remember Gesicki did the gritty for Miami? It wasn't great. It was kind of funny, I guess, but it wasn't spectacular. That was in the 4-hole. And the worst celebration, this will never be topped. I mean, this wasn't a quarter, but Bill Gramatica celebrating a game-winning field goal by tearing his ACL, Martine's brother. But Gus Frerotte for Washington scored a touchdown, and in celebration, banged his head against the wall and concussed himself and knocked himself out of the game. Like that was I think that's the worst celebration of all time. I don't think that can be topped. I'm not sure. But
you don't have Chad Johnson up here at all?
What I mean, Tim, you only have so many options. There's only 5 options.
I mean, I'm surprised. I'm just surprised.
Yeah. Different sport. Remember Kendrys Morales had a walk-off grand slam and just broke his leg at home plate in celebration. Okay. That is our board. Rico's 2 pumps. All right. We're gonna go ahead and by the way, Bobby, defending champion. Bobby took it down. It took him 9 weeks, but he finally won a week. So let's see if Bobby's gonna defend today. First game we're gonna be talking about is the Saints. The Saints at the Panthers. We did flip a coin backstage. You're not gonna believe it, Bobby. For 10 weeks in a row, you lost the coin toss. That's mathematically impossible. If you're martingaling this, you're in a lot of trouble. But Tim did win the coin toss. Saints, Panthers, 38.5 total. Tyler Shook. Team total here for the Saints below 17. Carolina Panthers, big home favorites. Rico Dowdle, speaking of, he looks spectacular today. Tim, how do you see the Panthers and the miserable Saints?
Saints are really, really easy. I'm just going to put them at the very, very bottom tier. I don't mind getting to like a one-off Juwan Johnson at 3,700, but I'm not going to be pairing him with a quarterback. I'm not going to get to any of the wide receivers, and no chance am I going to get to the running back. So the Saints are a pretty easy bottom tier team for me with only a 16.5 implied team total. Carolina, I mean, we know that Rico is going to be super, super chalky. I do think Ted McMillan is like a decent leverage play there. But outside of that, I mean, I'm not going to be getting to any Bryce Young. He's basically just the glorified game manager at this point. So it's just, I'm really not going to be getting to any of that wide receiver core. Panthers, in terms of stacking, is going to be in the Gesicki tier.
Yeah, but Ted was dealing with a hamstring. He popped up on the injury report. He's expected to play. I'm a little bit concerned with that. Just a tick. Also, I'm a little bit concerned with his quarterback play, getting him the ball. Bobby, I mean, are we in agreement right out the gate? How do we feel with the Saints in the gutter and Carolina not far from it?
We're in agreement. I do really like Dowdle. The Panthers really want to run the football, doing it at one of the highest clips in the league, which I think hurts Ted, but I'm fine with Ted as a tournament play, as leverage off of all this Dowdle chalk. I would not play Bryce Young. Just avoid playing him at all costs. The Saints, there's no one on that offense that I have any interest in. Like the Dowdle correlated with Panthers D for tournaments.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty interesting, especially with Tyler Shook back there. Alvin Kamara basically on his last leg. They just shipped Rashid Shaheed out of there. Juwan Johnson's fine as like a tournament tight end, but yeah, the Saints are in the right spot there, and so are the Panthers.
See, I wouldn't have an issue with all these players. They're getting their prices hiked up with success. But Alvin Kamara, his last 3 weeks, 2 fantasy points, 6 fantasy points, 6 fantasy points, and his price barely drops. Now, I wouldn't play him for 5 if he was like 500 less, but just use the same energy you do to raise prices that you do to lower prices. How about that? Is that a crazy idea?
You should write to DraftKings pricing.
They don't. You think they care what I think?
You should complain.
A bunch of numbers. They don't care what I say. Who am I? They know. They know it's.
You'd be perfect to like do pricing at DraftKings.
I feel like that's not a compliment. I think it's like it's a disguised insult, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I would be okay with it. I mean, I don't know. Who am I to pretend? It's probably a difficult job, but let the people actually like roster players they want to roster, at least a couple. Okay. Let's drop the second clue. TJ's way ahead of me. He's already dropped the second clue for today's. If you're reading the screen, you're reading the board, you have yourself a slight advantage. Some guesses are coming in. Second clue for today's Superstar Sunday is Lasso. Hall of Fame and Lasso. It is not Chris Carter or Reggie White or Walter Payton or Tony Dorsett or Ted Williams or Emmitt Smith, LaDainian Tomlinson. Some guesses coming on through into the Discord channel. We got a touchdown for the Colts. By the way, a lot of action. Taylor scored a touchdown, then Algier siphoned one, and then a touchdown pass, Jones to Pierce. Indy looked like they missed the extra point on the first touchdown for what it's worth. All right, Bobby, you're setting the stage for game 2. I think one of the more appealing games. Baltimore, Minnesota, 48.5 is the total. Baltimore on the road here in the Dome. They are 3.5-point favorites. Zay Flowers, one of the more popular receivers. Lamar, probably one of the more popular quarterbacks. We talked about J.J. McCarthy before, where some people might begrudgingly play J.J. because of salary. Why isn't Jefferson a little bit cheaper? Okay, I'll get off my soapbox. Bobby, Baltimore, Minnesota, what do you got?
Yeah, the Ravens, I'm going to put in Rico's 2 pumps. Lamar Jackson should be getting blitzed a ton here. Zay Flowers projects as one of the best wide receiver plays on the slate, as well as Mark Andrews at the tight end position. From there, like a guy like Bateman would be someone I'd have interest in tournaments, especially if they're going to blitz at the rate that I expect them to. Like Flores will just send 0 protection versus Lamar, and you might have to hit someone deep. So if you're looking for a $3,900 cheapie in a dome who can get deep, Rashad Bateman kind of works in large field stuff. Everyone's trying to make that receiver fit. I don't mind Bateman at all. Minnesota, I'm pretty high on Minnesota. I'm going to throw them and hold my whatever that's supposed to say that I probably can't say on
TJ's setting you up for failure is what's happening here.
Yeah, you were setting me up for failure. Trying to get rid of me pretty quick. JJ McCarthy, I like him. I like him with Jefferson. I think the top wide receiver for, like, if it's Puka or JSN is kind of split. Don't really know which way to go. I think you could throw Jefferson in that mix. I do like McCarthy and Addison. I think that is very interesting. Addison is at right under. So, like, my friend RBX88, he always says, everyone's saying to play this, you play the other side. So if everyone's playing Zay Flowers, maybe you play Addison for like 200 cheaper or 300 cheaper. Pretty sure he's around that. So JJ McCarthy, Addison, I think that would be my favorite pairing.
You guys are both in the Millionaire Club, right? I think he's done it multiple times.
He's done it like 4 times.
I was going to say, he's won it like 4 times, doesn't he?
He's got like 4 jackets.
I think he's got a bracelet too on top of it in World Series of Poker. I couldn't play poker to save my life. Yeah. McCarthy has the rushing equity too, which I think when you're looking at these high-end quarterbacks like Lamar, like Josh Allen, Drake May, they're guys that are going to be strongly considered. They all have rushing equity where a lot of these other pay downs outside of Mariota really don't have that rushing equity. We talked about Mac Jones as a cash game option. Like, Mac Jones is an absolute statue. I know he torched the Rams earlier in the season. But still, I want a guy with rushing equity. So someone made this comparison. Who was I watching? I was basically, I think it was a legendary upside show with Rebar and the kid who won the best ball a couple of years ago. And he was basically saying
Pat Kerrane,
yeah. He was basically saying like JJ McCarthy's probably not as bad as we thought he was, and also probably not as good as we thought he was. So he's somewhere in the middle. And on this slate for the savings, I think I can roll with that at the quarterback position. So I'm in on the Vikings is what I'm basically trying to say.
Tim, what say you?
Yeah, I'm definitely keeping Baltimore in the top tier. I'm a little bit. I think Baltimore's defense is starting to get healthier, and I think, I do kind of agree with the take that JJ McCarthy might not be as good or as bad as we think he is. I think we're just not sure. I am a little bit concerned though that he's going to get a little bit steamed here just because he is showing up. I mean, he's all over the blitz right now. I'm just a little bit concerned, and I do like some of these quarterbacks that are priced right around where he is. I don't want to pay that much for Jefferson in this spot either. So I just really don't know who to stack them with. So I'm gonna bring the Vikings down to the Randy's full moon tier.
What is I actually agree with Tim. I agree Minnesota should go down to tier 3. For the point that Tim is making, Tim, what are the chances Jefferson outscores Puka, JSN, and Amon-Ra? Like, it's possible.
Very, very, very small.
Likely.
I don't think that's not likely at all.
I know he's cheaper than those guys, but not distinctly cheaper. Is sort of the point he's $9K on FanDuel, basically the same as those guys. I like Jefferson fine. It's just hard but again, I guess the ownership's going to reflect it. But if people are playing McCarthy, they're going to run to Madison, like Bobby mentioned. But I think Jefferson's going to get some, like, you're overspending for Jefferson. I know he's one of the best receivers in football, but he hasn't quite seen that ceiling. JJ McCarthy hasn't thrown for more than 160 yards in his career. Yeah. All right.
We did. Richie Smalls, one of our regulars in chat, just said Ravens defense 4 sacks and 2 picks today. I was just gonna say, I think Ravens defense are pretty sneaky today. So I do like them as a GPP defense.
Are they really cheap? I don't know.
No, they're not. That's what I mean. If they were, they'd be pretty kind of popular. But they're 3,300, so they're definitely not cheap at all. But they're not going to be rostered.
Game number 3, it is the Dolphins. My Dolphins. Well, not my Dolphins, but they're not that far from me, at least geographically. They're my Dolphins. They're 10-point dogs here. Big total, but the Bills are getting the majority of those points, 30 points as far as a team total. It's a big boy number for sure. Yeah, you got to pay for Josh Allen. It's tough to pair him. If you're feeling lucky, you can pair him with like Keon Coleman on FanDuel where he's like 4K, but he kind of deserves to be 4K. I think Kincaid might be his best partner. The Dolphins vulnerable to tight ends this year. Speaking of Rebar pointed that out. The Dolphins have been really carved up by tight ends this season. Like I said, everybody, right? Tim, Bills, Dolphins. At least with the Dolphins, it's Devon Achane and Waddle, right? If they're hanging around, that's why I think that they're pretty interesting as far as run backs. I'm probably going to have a Josh Allen, Achane, Waddle team. I think it's probably going to lose, but it's set up for most of your teams to lose. That's just how it goes. That's what we signed up for. Tim, Bills, Dolphins, what do you got?
Yeah, I think the Bills are fantastic today. I'm going to put Buffalo in the Rico's 2 pumps tier just because I think there's so many ways that you can play this Buffalo team. You can go Josh Allen, you can go Shakir, you can go Kincaid. James Cook is, projecting for around 14%. I don't think he's going to be super chalky. I mean, talk about a Dolphins defense that just gets carved up everywhere, right? So, I mean, you can definitely play James Cook this week. I think that you should be getting heavy exposure to this side of the game. On the run back, though, it's just Achane and Waddle. I agree with you. It's super condensed. They are at home. They should definitely be in a trailing script here. A decent spot for Waddle. Really good spot for Achane, at least on paper at 7,400. So I think I'm going to put Miami in the middle tier and in the Randy's full moon tier.
The Cook thing, man, he was spectacular a couple weeks ago against Carolina on just 19 carries. Does not catch the ball, which is a problem. 1 reception in his last 4 games, but maybe he doesn't need to.
I was going to say, is he going to need to in this spot? That's the thing, right? I mean, I'm not really worried about that lack of receiving ability in this particular matchup, but I do agree with you. And running back is a strong position, so there's always a pretty big opportunity cost at the position.
Dolphins also trading away Jalen Phillips, the linebacker. Jump in here, Bobby. Tim has Buffalo all the way up in tier 1 and the Dolphins in the middle. Just realized Randy's full moon has the Vikings. That worked out perfectly. Dolphins in the middle. What do you got there, Bobby?
Yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement with Tim. Really like Josh Allen, Dalton Kincaid stacks. I think those work pretty well. For a receiving option, Khalil Shakir would be the guy. I think you should be in tournaments over on these Miami pieces, whether it be Waddle or Achane. I tagged McCaffrey as like a core play pretty much. But if he's someone I want to get away from, I just think it, like the more I see it, everyone has the checks for McCaffrey. It seems like he's going to be pretty popular. I think I like Chuba for the value and the savings that we kind of need on the slate. So he's probably going to be my first guy in on most teams.
Rico,
sorry. Yeah. Rico.
Sorry.
The switch there was so quick.
I just didn't want you to get slammed in the
fantastic for a
chat.
year.
I knew what you meant.
The Chuba being fantastic for a year and then Rico coming in and within like 6 weeks, he's taken over the job. But yeah, Rico would probably be my first guy in, but I'm kind of leaning more Achane than McCaffrey. I just think the usage is so high. They're so condensed. They're going to be trailing. They're at home. It's tough to come down and play in Florida, as we know. And I like Waddle a ton too. I think Waddle, just from this Bills defense hasn't been good all year, or up to par in terms of like being a championship caliber defense, which if the Bills want to win the Super Bowl this year, they're going to have to be at some point. And the two guys that I know are going to get the ball are in pretty good spots. So in tournaments, I really like these two pieces from Miami and Waddle and Achane.
I mean, it's tougher earlier in the year with all the humidity, but yeah, I understand the point you're making as far as coming down here and playing.
What about the nightclubs in Miami Beach and
the South Beach Flu? Here's the thing. Here's the thing that people don't know, and they mislead you. They show the broadcast. The stadium's in a place called Miami Gardens, and it's like 20-30 minutes. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere. I wouldn't say middle of nowhere, but it's not on South Beach. It's not like Miami Heat. That's what the South Beach Flu is much more real for basketball. But not saying it can't be real for football, but you're further away. It's a little bit tougher to get into things the night before. But it is a fair and reasonable point. I would have put Buffalo lower just because it's hard to find a partner to stack with Allen. But I mean, I get what you guys are both saying, 30 points. I'll play Allen naked. I'm willing to. I mean, I'm fine pairing with Kincaid as well. The receivers, none of them I feel great about. You probably can pair. I mean, that's probably counterintuitive, right? To pair Allen with Cook when Cook's not catching the ball at all, but you theoretically get all the touchdowns. They put up like 40 or so. But all right, you guys defensive struggle. The only one disagreement so far. Tim's got the point. We'll drop a third clue. No winner just yet, right? I don't think we have a winner. Taking a peek. It's not John Elway for today's Superstar Sunday. Hold on a second. Jay Novacek. That is not a superstar. You're not. I don't know why you'd say Jay Novacek, former tight end for the because of last sale. All right, but not a superstar. Not a superstar. Tony Gonzalez superstar, but it's not Tony Gonzalez. The third clue, going to be scrolling here momentarily, is GM. GM is the third clue. Get in that Discord channel and tell me what superstar I'm talking about. Bobby, you're going to set the table for Cleveland and the Jets. 37.5 total. Cleveland, the slight favorite here. Have the Jets officially said that it's Justin Fields? We're assuming it's Justin Fields starting. That they're playing it close to the vest.
So.
What's that?
It's official. They've said so.
Okay, yeah, because Cleveland spent 2 days practicing for Tyrod Taylor, so they wasted their time. Garrett Wilson expected back. Of course, they traded away two of their big defensive players. No more Sauce. Q Williams is gone. Bobby, you kind of talked about it earlier. Q Judkins as an option. Cleveland defense, certainly. Fannin and Njoku was the one who was questionable this week, right? Yeah, Njoku was going to give it a go. He's expected to play, so Fannin not looking like a spectacular play necessarily. This game overall, 37.5 total. Bobby, the board is yours.
Yeah, Quinshon Judkins, probably my favorite play in this game. Don't mind correlating him with Cleveland defense. I think he's another one of these running backs that would allow me to get away from a guy like McCaffrey or one of the chalky pieces at 6,500. Removing a run stopper like Quinnen Williams is really going to affect your defense. So I like Judkins. I also like the Cleveland D. We saw what they did to Drake May. The Cleveland defense is the one bright spot on that team. And now you're getting Justin Fields, who should have problems like he has every week. So I'm going to put them in Gesicki's gritty, the Cleveland D. In the Jets, I just have zero interest in. I can never bring myself to play the Jets ever again until there are drastic changes. You see that clip of the kid who was like, I was born into this.
No,
I hate this. Like, I hate this team, but I was born into this. You just feel so bad for Jets fans. And
you're indoctrinated by your parents, your father, or somebody. They're a Jet fan, and they want you to suffer with them. That's just how that goes.
I grew up a Jet fan.
Are you no longer? You broke away?
Yeah, well, when the Patriots are winning every week, you know,
Wow.
you just gonna hop on the bandwagon.
Was that an argument in the family? Everybody else is just like, well, wait.
My uncle liked the Jets. He bought me and Dave these Wayne Corbett and Keyshawn Johnson jerseys back. He was a big Parcells guy, so yeah, we used to watch the Jets a bunch.
Did you read Keyshawn Johnson's book? Give me the damn ball. Throw me the damn ball.
No, but the key was one of the only number one picks as a wide receiver ever in the history of the NFL.
He was a 1-1, yeah, at USC.
He was a 1-1, yeah.
I don't remember. All right, well, Tim.
Corbett was my favorite, and like he can't even speak anymore. He's had some.
I think he's in fantasy or horse racing. I think he's
I remember seeing like he was having a lot of issues because of probably all those hits or whatever. I could be wrong, but
on Twitter, I think he was a presence at some point on Twitter, but I don't know. But I maybe horse racing he might be involved in. All right, Tim, Cleveland's in the 4-hole hanging out with Mike Gesicki, and the Jets. The Jets are Gus's headbutt, tier 5.
Yeah, Jets are definitely tier 5. That's a pretty easy one. I'm not even going to be getting to any Breece Hall today. I just think that this is just not a good matchup for him. There's other running backs in that 6K range, so no Jets for me. Actually, this is going to be weird, but I'm going to bring the Browns up one into that middle tier. Just because I think that some of these cheap wide receivers are interesting, as like we don't really have amazing value this week. So I think taking shots here, and David Njoku, Fannin, they're both really, really cheap as well. And this Jets defense is just so horrible that I think that you can be taking shots against them at really, really, really cheap price tags. And then Judkins, I think he's like a borderline cash game play. Definitely somebody that you could get well over the field in. I think that would be a really smart thing to do this week. So I'm actually pretty high. I'm a little bit higher on Cleveland than Bobby.
TJ was touting Cleveland. He could not be more excited to put Cleveland up in the 3-hole. I was going to yield to TJ, but I assume TJ would agree with that. I think he likes himself for the reasons of like salary, I assume, more than anything else.
Yeah, I agree, but I do not like Cleveland. I like everything I can get when I play Cleveland.
Yeah, I think that's implied.
It's the same with like I would bump the Saints up 1 just because I think you can play it. Daigle talked about this on the Pick 6 show, and he kind of convinced me. I think you can play $4,300 Tower Shuck because of what it allows you to get.
Who's your favorite team again, TJ?
I mean the Saints, but I don't like playing them.
Yeah.
I haven't been voting the Saints all year. That's not like I'm cheering for them to tank. I don't want this team to do well, but it's just what you can do on a slate where we have almost no value. It's what you can do with your lineups if those guys happen to get 15 points.
TJ, you agree the 3-hole?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll give the point to Tim. We did have a winner, by the way, in the Discord. Shout out to the Discord. It's Bazinga 77. I fooled a lot of people. I fooled some people, but I can't fool everybody. Yeah, that last clue, somebody latched on to something, but a lot of people, John Lynch, Ozzie Newsome, John Elway. It's not that, but we'll keep playing. Next game up on the board, Tim, you're going to be establishing this game for us. It's the Giants, the Bears, 46.5 team total. Chicago is a 4.5-point favorite. Again, let me see if Roth updated. If he didn't update it, he'll update it at some point, I imagine. I can drop it in chat as well. Orange is our official weather status here. The only one that's could potentially be dicey. And I tend to not freak out over weather. But I'll just say, I don't think I'm playing Caleb Williams, just as a general thought. I'm more open to Dart amongst these two. Tim, Giants, Bears, what do you got?
Yes, I mean, I definitely did have interest in the Giants, and then I got a little bit scared away with the weather, and I'm thinking that might be what the field does as well. So I think there's an opportunity here to maybe be able to get overweight this game pretty easily if you're building out a portfolio of teams, just because I don't think it's going to be owned. And we know that we want to attack this Bears defense. And the Giants play at a pretty quick pace as well. So I think you can get to some Dart Robinson stacks, maybe some Dart Theo Johnson stacks. I think Tyrone Tracy is super interesting this week as well, after he failed as a pretty popular play last week, and he's only 5,800. So I think he's an interesting way to get different at the running back position. So I do have moderate interest here in the Giants. I would like to see a update from Roth. But for now, I'm going to put the Giants in the middle tier. The Bears, I'm having a little bit more difficult time with. Another really, really good matchup. I'm just not crazy about this whole situation with this backfield. So I'm really not sure what to do in terms of the Bears running backs. If I was building out like 20 to 50 teams or something like that, I probably would get exposure to both Swift and Monangai and just kind of play into that. What's going to be a hot hand situation. So I don't know. It's a really good spot. It's just tough. I think I'm going to put the Bears. Unfortunately, I think I'm putting the Bears in the Gesicki tier.
Our projection is basically the same for Swift and Monangai. I like Monangai a little bit more for another reason. He's cheaper. He's also been the hotter hand of late. And by the way, you said something interesting, Tim. You said Tracy failed last week, right? You failed. Not according to DraftKings. They said, oh, wait a second, 6.7 DK points. Let's raise his price $700. Raise it. Hell of a game.
You're really gonna put in a job application for DK pricing.
Like, how is that the reaction? Yeah. All right. I'm done. I hit my quota of tilting on this. This is why we can't make nice lineups. All right. So the Giants are smack in the middle. The Bears are hanging out with Mike Gesicki in tier 4. Bobby, you're down 2-0. Don't let that manipulate the way you answer.
I'm starting to think of it. I need to make a move here. Yeah, I'm with the Giants. Dart, Wandale. Dean said at the top of the show, like, if it's windy, it's going to be tough to throw downfield to guys like Slayton, but Wandale's ADOT is very short in terms of like where he's running all of his routes, so he's likely fine. No, I can't figure out between Tracy or Singletary. I think the industry narrative is that it'll flip back to Tracy. I'm not sure, but I do like Wandale and Dart enough to put them in Randy's full moon. The Bears, I would have liked the Bears. I wanted to play some Monangai, but now that Swift is in the backfield there, like, I just can't bring myself to play dual threat backfields, even with the way the Bears have been running the ball. So not going to go there. Don't really love Caleb on this slate in particular. DJ Moore would probably be my favorite pairing, but it's supposed to be windy, right? Like, it's not the greatest situation for throwing the football. I don't think Caleb's going to really make my top 20 lineups. I don't even know if he'd be in my 150, to be honest. So I'm going to move the Bears down. That's going to be my move. Gus's headbutt. I have no interest in the Bears, really.
I can't believe Ramadunze, he actually had 0 fantasy points, 0 receptions, 47 points last week, which is just, there's one poor schmuck. Like, just saw the score, was like, shopping at the Costco or something on Sunday, got dragged to Costco, and just felt like his fantasy team was going nuts. I got Rome. I'm like, this is good to go. 0 fantasy points, got shut out. If you want to do maybe a bounce back game for him. But I kind of agree with Bobby. I'm not really on the Bears, but I do like the running backs. So I don't know if I want to move.
You would never play Monangai and Swift, Monangai or Swift in your single entry or 3 max team. I know you.
I made some lineups
being healthy.
Well, I've said several times I made some lineups before the show and I don't like them. I'm not happy about it. If you can't tell, I'm not happy with my lineups. Monungai's in them. He's in a couple on FanDuel because I think they're going to run the ball a fair bit here. The Giants, one of the worst run defense in the league, and I think he's going to be ahead of Swift. I don't know that for sure. It's going to be probably 60-40 and hot hand. Who knows how hot the hands will be? But has his hand cooled off throughout the week? I'm not sure, but he was spectacular last week. So yeah, I'm playing some as of right now. Some not Swift, and I'm not against it, but I do have some Monungai as of right now.
How many targets is Wan'Dale Robinson going to get today? Like 12.
And
the Bears are missing their slot corner as well. I mean, I think Wan'Dale would be like in the cash game conversation if it weren't for this weather. And if we keep this kind of weather like as it is now, or it gets better, I think we can play Wan'Dale in cash games at 5,300.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to get every 4-yard pass.
I know. It's not going to be, that doesn't look amazing, but just the amount of targets he's going to get in this game, I think, is going to be pretty impressive.
Bobby, do you have Raymond McLeod in your pool of 150s? Is he somebody you're considering?
He's not currently in my pool, but I haven't rerun.
Yeah.
I think it's only Wan'Dale, and I'm over the field on Wan'Dale for all the reasons that Tim kind of broke down.
Yeah. I need TJ to break the tie here. TJ, jump in here as far as the Bears. Where do you want to put the Bears? Is Bobby correct?
I actually don't remember who said what, but I would put the Bears in the bottom tier.
Okay, so that's a point for Bobby. 2-1.
I had to make a move.
Well, you believe it too, right? I think.
I believe it. Yeah, I believe. Like, I'm looking at my stuff and I'm not getting any Bears, so why even? I had to take the chance.
We do have a winner, but we'll drop the fourth clue for Superstar Sunday. The fourth clue is Pride. HOF, Lasso, GM, and Pride is the fourth clue. But again, there was a winner in the Discord channel winning a week free of RG Premium. That was Bazinga. Bazinga 77, I believe. So shout out to Bazinga, but we'll still play out the string for fun. Next game, Bobby, you're setting the board for your Patriots at the Bucks. Drake May, some no booty, so we have some cheap partners. Somebody was asking in chat about Mac Hollins. That's how down we are. We're asking about Mac Hollins. Like, what are we doing? But I get it. I hear you. He's he'll probably be on the field if nothing else against the Bucks. There was a chance that oh God, why am I forgetting his name? The lead running back for Tampa entering the season was supposed to come back. He's not back. It's still Rashad White. Sean Tucker kind of ate into him a little bit last week, but it's still White's world. But it's also not a great matchup against the Patriots because they don't give up any rushing yards. It's still they've yet to give up 50 yards on the ground, and we're at week 10, which is incredible. That's what is that the stat dating back to 1950? I think that has not happened. Yeah, Bobby, your Patriots, the Bucks, Pats are about a field goal dog here. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm gonna put the Pats in the Marshawn Lynch category. Broccoli Boy's just waiting for me to get booted from RG with this.
What would he do without you? He'd be devastated. He doesn't want that to happen.
He might be devastated. So for me, I think May is probably the cash game quarterback. I know I made a case for wanting to get off him for JJ McCarthy, but you guys poo-pooed that take. Drake May. Just good pairing with Stephon Diggs. There's Demario Douglas there. I think my favorite's Hunter Henry. Travion Henderson's also in the mix. If you're trying to get off one of these very chalky running backs, I think he'll also be pretty chalky himself. But I do think guys like Chuba, Achane, and McCaffrey will see more ownership. So a guy like Travion and guys like Travion and Quinshon Judkins are interesting in tournaments to mix in there. It's been tough to run up the middle versus the Bucks. but they give up a lot in the passing game. So I might like Travion Henderson more than Diggs, but I think Diggs is a super fine play as a standalone himself, just because you're removing Booty. Yeah, so you can definitely stack Travion with May. And if they're running to the outside, that's where you can kind of beat Tampa away from the middle of that defense. So, yeah, I like the Pats in the hold my tier. And then for the Bucks, like I feel like I should be higher on the Bucks, but I have them in the middle tier. Ibuka's fine, Otten's fine to pair with Baker Mayfield, but really nothing I'm like totally in love with. Yeah, so the Bucks would go in Randy Full Moon. I'm not interested in Kyle Williams. I know people are trying to make that a thing. I'm not really gonna do that. Yeah.
Do you have like a pivot, like somebody that's also 3K you like more, or you're just kind of building differently?
I think I like Bateman. Like Bateman, I think would be a better play in the dome. And
yeah,
I'm not currently getting any Bateman. I'm trying to look for like a 3K guy. I'm getting some Jerry Jeudy, some Michael Wilson,
Cedric Tillman,
Malik Washington, who's 4.2. I'm not getting any Tillman. That's why I wasn't as high on the Browns. Like it's more Jeudy, so it's basically like telling me to fade the chalk and Tillman, especially like with Gabriel not really throwing to wide receivers. It's probably, if everyone's going to play like a Cleveland wide receiver, you should likely be under that or take the guy that they're not playing in Jeudy. Just makes the most sense.
Jalen Lane, De'Ami Brown. These are the other options. I'm just kind of throwing out some names.
I'm not. Diami is someone that's hitting Rashid Shaheed a little bit in his new spot in Seattle.
He's 5'2", though.
Oh yeah, he's 5'2". Sorry.
Yeah.
Someone asked about Mac Hollins. I am getting some Mac Hollins in my 150, which seems really disgusting.
It does.
But he's going to be on the field a ton, so yeah.
Patriots in hold my tier number 2. And we also have Tampa Bay in tier 3. Yeah, I'm getting just kind of the stuff I was building, and it's a salary concerns.
I keep saying Chuba over Rico Daddle. I'm sorry, Broccoli Boy. I'm sorry. The switch is so fast. It was only like a 6-week thing, and Rico Daddle is like the 3rd best running back in the league. And Chuba, who is like the chalky, everyone's like darling, and best ball doesn't even matter anymore. So yeah, it's just in my head.
Just want to answer this question in chat. Jose is saying, what about Terrell Jennings or Henderson for cash? You definitely don't want to play Jennings in cash. That's a terrible idea. You can play Henderson in cash, and by no means are you playing Terrell Jennings. Just by the way, I'm building stuff. I'm having a hard time. I was having a hard time getting the Ibuka. Tez Johnson just works so much easier for me. But I think the field's going to think the same thing, but that's just kind of the way things work. And that was Bucky Irving I couldn't think of for whatever reason before. No Bucky Irving, not just yet. Tim, how do you feel about Bobby's placement of the Pats and the Bucks?
I agree with New England. I am going to move Tampa Bay up one. I'm just getting into so much of this game, like in Sims right now on both FanDuel and DraftKings. I love Ibuka in GPPs. I think he's a fantastic leverage play off of some of these chalkier, higher end wide receivers. I think I love Baker stacks today. I love Kate Otten. So there, I'm even getting to some Rashad White in Sims. I don't think I'm going to be going there, but I understand why. And then, again, New England. I mean, this game is really close to being top tier for me. It's really close. I just have a little bit more faith in the defenses, but I could see this game completely shooting out. So I'm going to put both of these in the 2 tier.
Yeah, I think I'm just having a hard time getting to Ibuka, but that's kind of the reason why he's a good play, I suppose. And I'm building more through May than Mayfield in this game. But I think I'm going to agree with Bobby. I'm not against Tampa.
2-2.
Yeah, I'm going to stick. I'm going to stick with Bobby. Now you have a challenge, Tim. You can throw your challenge.
I'm going to throw the challenge flag here.
Which means
is he going to poll the audience, or is he going to go to
TJ? Not a 50-50. We bring in TJ.
I am with Dean and Bobby. The only Bucs player I'm getting to today is Tez Johnson.
I knew it.
Well, you got to pick your challenge wisely. Sometimes that's the difference between winning and losing, Tim. And you didn't.
I'm just totally off of Egbuka. Egbuka has been dominant against zone, very poor against man, and he's probably going to have Christian Gonzalez following him.
Is Christian Gonzalez good?
Yes.
So you mentioned Rebar. Rebar was talking about, Drake London had that awesome game against New England.
That's what I'm saying.
But like none of it was against he wasn't on him the entire time, but like, he basically got nothing.
He mossed Gonzalez once, and that was it.
There was one play, I think, but like overwhelmingly his catches were not against Gonzalez for what it's worth. Okay, 2-2 score. Tim has already burned his challenge. Bobby's got a challenge in his pocket. The last of the 1:00 games. Tim, you're going to be picking this one for us, setting the board. The Jags and the Texans. Davis Mills drawing the start for Houston. I give the same spiel every single week about Houston. Their offense stinks, so I don't like rostering players in their team. Their defense is good, so I don't like picking on Houston. So, this game stinks. No BTJ, who's been underwhelming, to be kind, for the Jags. So Parker Washington projects pretty well. Also, we'll see how Jacoby Myers, newly acquired, works his way in here for Jacksonville. But, Tim, Jacksonville, Houston, 37.5 total. It's on paper, not terribly enthusiastic. Maybe you can sell me something.
Do we need a catch-up game, Dean?
Not really. Not necessarily. I mean, we can catch up.
Yeah, I mean, this game just stinks. So I mean, it's pretty easy for me. outside of Parker Washington, and then maybe if I was building out 20 teams or more, something like that, like a Nico Collins one-off, I'm not playing either one of these backfields. I'm not playing either one of these quarterbacks. So it's really just Parker Washington, who I think is a fantastic value play on the slate. He's definitely cash game viable. You can just use him as a one-off. You don't have to pair him with Lawrence. You don't need to get any extra exposure to this game. I guess you could play Dalton Schultz, but I think tight end is really, really strong, and strong in that particular price range as well. So I'm not really getting to much Schultz at all. So it's really just Parker Washington, Nico Collins, but both these teams are bottom tier for me.
Both hanging out with Gus Farrat. Gus's headbutt, tier 5. Bobby, any issues? Do you disagree?
No, I think Tim's breakdown was fantastic. We'll stay tied 2-2.
All right, there are 3 more games.
Pardon me, I had some important pop up and I missed where those teams.
You like Davis Mills today?
Both teams in the gutter, TJ. Both teams tier 5. No worries. I understand you're zapping all the bots in chat. You're doing all the work. You're multitasking. You're handing out premium in the chat as well. We could give the people the 5th clue just for fun. Get those over with. We already have a winner, but 5th clue today. Final clue was run. It was HOF, Lasso, GM, Pride, and Run. That was today's Superstar Sunday. Okay. The first game in the 4:00 window, there's only 3 games here. Arizona taking on Seattle, 45.5 is the total. Newly acquired Rashid Shaheed here for the Seahawks. Jacoby Brissett still quarterbacking the Cardinals. Trey McBride, best raw point tight end on the slate. No Brock Bowers. It's I'm trying to find salary for McBride, but there's some other options on the board. Sure. JSN, certainly one of the more popular receivers as well. Somebody in chat asked, is just Shaheed going to hurt him? I mean, JSN's target percentage is 45%. He can spare a little bit, and you can also make the argument he might get a little bit more efficient, potentially, even more efficient. But, Bobby, how do you feel about newly acquired Shaheed, the Seahawks, and the Cardinals?
Yeah. In terms of Rashid Shaheed, I think he's fine if you're doubling Sam Darnold. I don't know here. I'm a little confused. I like Jackson, Smith, and Jigba a bunch. If you guys were playing cash games, which I know you are, who would you prefer, Smith and Jigba or Nakua?
I'm kind of deciding that right now. I talked about that at the beginning of the show. It's a really tough one. But then what do you do with CMC?
That's the one.
I think I
I
like
would rank CMC third of that group.
I don't know if I agree with that, but
I kind of agree with TJ.
yeah, it's fine for tournaments. I don't think in cash games I'd go that way.
Not in cash,
For what it's worth, in the
Okay.
blitz projections, McCaffrey is projected for less points than both Nakua and
Wow.
JSN. Or actually, that has changed. Never mind. That was the case when we did the show yesterday. That is no longer the case.
I mean, they're all three of those guys are right there next to each other. I just think CMC is safer for cash games, but I mean, this whole JSN Nakua argument I think is really, really tough, and it's gonna have a big impact on cash games because people are that's gonna be a really tough 1v1 JSN Nakua.
Nakua over Chase was big last week too, depending how you played that.
Yeah.
It's a coin toss pre-flop, and then at the end, it's like a 20-point difference. It's just like, well, and how do you know? Currently, we have JSN just slightly more than Puka, but it's basically a coin toss. All JSN, Puka, and Amon-Ra, all 22 points and change. That's where we have that right now as far as those three projected. And then the next guy up is Jefferson, about a 3-point gap. Bobby, I know were you punting? Were you trying to punt?
So no, I'm not trying to punt. I'm going to put the Seahawks and Randy's full moon. I would go Puka over JSN. JSN's been phenomenal, and I get why people are going to play him in cash. Darnold, Nakua. I mean, Darnold, JSN, and Rashid would be an interesting stack for me in terms of tournaments. But more large field stuff, not getting to a ton of it in small field. Outside of like JSN on some of my teams. In terms of the Cardinals, I might kind of scare you guys here. I'm going to put the Cardinal. I will say Seattle, I think Arizona's missing their top 2 cornerbacks, or at least they were. I don't know if that's still the case. So maybe it's definitely a point to the Seahawks, but I like the Seahawks where they are. The Cardinals, I'm going to put in hold my just in that tier, I guess. Still trying not to get fired. Brissett, Trey McBride, and Marvin Harrison Jr. I think are interested. And then Michael Wilson at 3-3, I think is a very interesting value play. I know the Seattle defense has been really good all year. But Brissett's been competent. I know it's at Seattle. I know I'm probably losing a point here, but this is the tournament stack that is interestingly enough standing out to me a little bit outside of the Vikings. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the Cardinals in the second tier.
All right, Tim. We got Arizona tier 2, Seattle tier 3. Any adjustments necessary?
Yeah, I thought we were going to have a debate about this game, but we do not, believe it or not.
Wow.
I agree with Arizona. I think Arizona is one of the better looking stacks for GPPs. I do like Jacoby Brissett quite a bit here. I mean, he's way too cheap. So he has shown that he can still play. I mean, I was dead wrong about him. I thought this was going to be horrible going to him as the quarterback, but it has been a really good play on their part. So I do like Brissett quite a bit. Arizona's super condensed. Obviously, we can play McBride. We can play Harrison. And I think that it's super cheap. So I do like Arizona quite a bit here. And I don't really know what to do with Seattle. Like Darnold has looked fantastic. I don't really like Shaheed this week. JSN is fine as a one-off always. But if anything, I'd put Seattle down one, but I'm just gonna leave it there.
Yeah, Brissett's played well enough that Kyler Murray, I don't know if they're soft benching, you want to call it, but like he's not playing. $230 million contract, but Brissett's earned that job. Maybe if he gets crushed here, they'll go back to Murray, but I think they're still kind of giving him that injury just as like protection. But yeah. Did he land on IR? He might have landed on IR, Murray, but he's not playing quarterback today. It is Brissett's. 2 more games to go. I believe we still have a high score. It's just going to be a nail biter for sure. Detroit and Washington, 49.5 is a total. I feel like Detroit would be more popular if this game is at home on the turf. People love the Lions on the turf, but they're still 9-point favorites in Washington. Down the Mariota, this defense has been putrid. There's Captain Chris Rodriguez today. I don't know if that's going to change things or not, but I did see they named him captain. They're also without, what's the receiver they lost? One of their bad receivers. Now Jalen Lane is expected to step up and get some more volume thrown his way. I don't know if that's going to change things or not, but Tim, Lions need to bounce back. It seems like a good bounce back spot. Taking on Washington, What do you got?
Yeah, Detroit is definitely in the Rico's 2 pumps tier. I think you can go full Detroit onslaught here. Obviously, Amon-Ra, Goff, Amon-Ra, Jameson Williams, Sam Laporta. Basically, any of those premier Detroit pass catchers, I think, are fantastic. And outside of Amon-Ra, I don't think they're going to get that much ownership at all. I think Jahmyr Gibbs could be in line for a really, really strong bounce back game after he completely dudded last week. So I do love him. If you're looking to maybe pivot off of CMC and GPPs, I do like Gibbs quite a bit. But really, I'd be getting to heavy exposure of Detroit here. I'm really struggling on what to do with them in my single entry team because I'm not getting to any of them in cash games, but you could definitely make the argument to do that. It's like Amon-Ra is like just under the JSN Puka tier in terms of projection. So I mean he's right there at 8,400. So he's a really, really strong play. So I absolutely love Detroit here. Washington is kind of tough. Mariota's got a really good price tag on both sites. He does have a reasonable rushing floor. So I think that gives him some value. Debo Samuel is pretty darn cheap. I don't love him, but he is showing up in Sims quite a bit just because Mariota is showing up a lot. So it's giving Mariota that pairing partner. I'm not getting to any Commanders backfield. I don't think I'm getting to any of the tight ends either. So I'm going to give Washington in terms of stacking in the Gesicki tier.
Yeah, no Terry McLaurin's still out. Luke McCaffrey is out. It feels like, you don't know this, but it feels like Debo's playing injured. At least the game log is suggesting he's playing injured. He's been pretty terrible now for the last 3 games. But he is also, they lowered him $100. So now it's tempting. He's $100 cheaper for Debo. Bobby, we have Washington in the 4-hole. Detroit all the way up top, hanging out with Rico and his 2 pumps. Do we agree with Bobby? Do we agree with Tim?
I agree with Tim. Pretty like the Detroit side. I don't like playing Goff away from Ford Field, but is it still called Ford Field? Not even sure.
I think so.
Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, I think are fantastic plays, as well as Jahmyr Gibbs. Laporte is very good, but tight end is very strong. So I like Detroit onslaughts a good bit. On the other side, Washington, like Jalen Lane's kind of a value, I guess. Mariota's kind of a value, so I think they work in Gesicki gritty, but I don't love it.
Did you change anything? I'm sorry, I apologize.
No, I didn't change anything. It all stayed the same.
Okay. I didn't think you did. Okay, yeah, Detroit hanging out there still in tier 1, Washington in tier 4. We still have one more game to go. I do have to mention 3-day pass promo. This is a good day to get yourself a 3-day pass. You want to try our NFL DFS tools without a full season commitment. Limited time, you get half off a 3-day NFL pass. Access to everything you need to crush the slates, optimizer tool, lineup HQ, packed with player projections, ownership projections, much, much more. You got the tags, Bobby's tags, expert rankings, everybody else's tags as well. All the articles, all the bells, all the whistles, SimLabs. Speaking of SimLabs, just a few clicks. You get yourself some smart, well-built lineups, just less than $10. $9.99. Do not miss your chance to get a serious edge this week. Also, if you want to go beyond the 3 days, NFL DFS access for the entire season. Why not get more bang for your buck with Combo Pro? Limited time, you get your first month of Combo Pro, less than $89, $79 and change. That's only $5 more than NFL DFS a la carte. The Combo Pro adds everything else, not just football, not just, you get college football, baseball, in theory, basketball, college basketball, MMA, PGA, all the bells, all the whistles, all the sports you can think of, with the exception of NASCAR. NASCAR is a la carte. You see on the screen. Check out the links in the description. I do want to shout out today's, before we get to the last game, our Superstar Sunday. Again, Bazinga was our winner. The clues. Clue 1 was Hall of Fame. Well, this person's a Hall of Famer. Clue number 2, Lasso. Lasso was in reference to the college this person played at. Their college, some people thought it was the Dallas Cowboys. It was the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Clue number 3, GM, was not in reference to, general manager, some people suggested, but GM, General Motors, which is based out of Detroit. Clue number 4 was Pride. That's telling you that this person's a Detroit Lion, because Lions run in Prides is a plural, or Pride in itself is a plural. I think it is. Pride of Lions. Yeah, it's singular. Yeah, well, there you go. And this person runs. It's Barry Sanders. And why did I pick Barry Sanders? Why did I pick Barry Sanders today? I'll tell you why. Because we're celebrating the greatest touchdown celebrations. And Barry Sanders, famous for a lot of things, retiring early, being one of the more fun running backs to watch, never celebrating. He would just hand the ball to the referee like he was there, like he's done it before.
Like you've been there before, Dean,
Yeah.
Like
he's the guy. Like he's the guy that's what his dad taught him. He never celebrated touchdowns. I think he said one time he would celebrate if it was like the last game, it was the Super Bowl, like last play of the game. He said, like, yeah, I would celebrate. But he did not celebrate. He just gave the ball to the ref, and that's that. So that's why. Also, he's a superstar. He qualified. All right. GPP Final Takes coming in about 10 minutes or so. Last game here is the Rams. The Rams and the Niners. No pressure, boys. We're tied at 2. Bobby, you still have your challenge. Rams, Niners, 49.5 is the total. Rams are, 4 or 5 point favorites here in San Fran in the late window. Set the table for us, Bobby. No, Tim. It's Tim's board.
Oh, is it me?
Is it? I think it might be me. Is it?
Yeah, it's Bobby. It's Bobby.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. We had yeah, you're right. You're right. 10 games. So, yeah, Bobby's got to close it out. My apologies.
Yeah, Puka outside of Zay Flowers is probably my favorite wide receiver play in the slate. I'm going to put the Rams in the hold my tier. Yeah, Stafford, Puka, Devontae, Kyron, I think, is in play a little bit here. And this is where I'm going to lose, because I think projection slaves, they're going to play San Fran over the Rams. And I'm going to put San Fran and Randy's full moon, because I think McCaffrey out of the spends is likely the worst chalk based on all the opportunity costs at running back. I do like him and Juwan Jennings if I'm pairing Mac Jones. But these guys, I think San Fran is chalk that you can try and get away from a little bit here. So, yeah, Randy's full moon for me with the San Francisco 49ers. I like Puka and JSN as better spends than McCaffrey. I think Juwan Jennings is fine as like a value play from a wide receiver perspective, and Kittle is obviously fine, but they're guys I think I'm coming in under on, so not as high on San Fran as the field is.
Yeah, my only hiccup with San Fran is like Jennings feels like he's playing beat up. He had like 4 body parts a couple weeks ago, bunch of ribs. And Kittle, like, almost definitely is playing hurt as well. I know, like, a lot of the next gen people are talking about how he's not the same guy out there. So it has me a little bit apprehensive on those plays. Tim, San Fran smack in the middle, tier 3. We have the Rams in tier 2. We're tied at 2. Are we just going to tie? Is this going to be like a soccer match? What do you have, Tim?
No, I'm going to go San Fran in the 2 tier. I'm going to move them up 1. I agree with the Rams. I've got a little bit more faith here in Mac Jones at 5K. Obviously, I'm going to be getting to a ton of CMC. I think, Juwan Jennings clearly does have injury concern, but I think at 4,600, we can still get to him. So I'm getting to a lot of this game on both sides. Don't forget, I don't know if Bobby mentioned, don't forget about Devontae Adams as a pivot off Nakua or like a really expensive double with Stafford. But I do like Devontae Adams in GPPs. So yeah, I think this is one of the better games in the slate. So I'm going to be putting both teams in the 2 tier.
Being told in chat from Tyler, if you guys are in chat, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on those notifications. We appreciate all that. Tyler's telling us that it's Devontae Adams' homecoming game. He apparently grew up right outside Santa Clara. Also, Devontae Adams, the best red zone target amongst everybody, I think, in the league. I think nobody has more red zone targets. So, yeah, for sure. You can always work in Adams. Tim, by the way, can you confirm Broccoli Boy is saying when you were not the Barry Sanders, when you won $200K, $300K, were you fist bumping? You did not celebrate?
I gave the ball right to the ref, Dean. Right to the ref.
That's you misread that, Dean. That's what Broccoli Boy said. He celebrated by going to bed early.
Oh, okay. I did misread that. Okay. Well, he's been there before. Tim's been there before. He's
I don't celebrate wins, Dean. Ever.
Did you have like an extra cookie or something, or an extra thing?
I don't think so.
I'll be celebrating this win if I get it.
No fist bump of any sort. Nothing.
No fist bump.
All right.
It was I can't remember. It was an Eagle stack. I had my biggest day ever on DFS. 330K. I think I won that Sunday, and I think I didn't do anything. I don't think I was just shocked, really.
Did you wake up the next morning and see the score officially, or did you go to bed?
No, I watched that. It was an afternoon game.
Okay, so you stayed up
Eagles game. Yeah.
I'm gonna let TJ be the bad guy. TJ, it's your call. Do we agree with Sam Fran in tier 2, or should they stay in tier 3?
W for Tim. They're staying in tier 2.
I want to poll the audience here. We have the time. 2 minutes.
But the horrible game management by Bobby.
That McCaffrey is priority 3 behind Nakua and JSN. But I do think San Fran as a whole is still up there in tier 2. I really like Mac Jones. And one of the reasons why I'm comfortable getting McCaffrey as my 3rd priority is because I'm just mixing in Jennings in my lineup instead.
Bobby, you're never allowed to scream at the TV and yell at a coach and say you can't take the timeouts with you. You took your challenge flag with you into the locker room. You got an L and the challenge.
I want a challenge. I don't know who I can challenge to though. The person was TJ.
Well, yeah, you got to use your challenge wisely. You got to pick your spot. You held on it too long. That's it. There's no more games. The game was over. Tim won.
I want to poll the audience.
Well, okay. Maybe we can pull the line. We're going to be out of here by the time the poll comes on through, but I guess we can pull the audience.
Well, last week to know who really got the win.
Well, I mean, the audience is greater authority than TJ.
Jordan Vanek in the private chat is on Bobby's side, so we have Kristi also.
How about we poll? No, here's what we'll do.
Not here yet. We need Kristi
who's coming in, and we'll ask them. Since I know I already got 1 vote.
Well, there you go, making it pretty obvious. So if you guys missed it, you're just jumping in now. Power ranked individual touchdown celebrations. Shout out to Rico Dowdle. There's 2 pumps. That's tier 1. Baltimore, Buffalo, Detroit, tier 2. Marshawn Lynch, that is New England, Arizona, and the Rams and San Fran opponents this week. Tier 3, Randy's Full Moon. What a disgusting act, according to Joe Buck. Minnesota, Miami, Cleveland, the Giants, Tampa, Seattle, Gesicki when he did the gritty. That's Carolina and Washington. And speaking of Washington, I think it was on Washington at the time. Maybe it was Minnesota. I think it was Washington. Gus Farrat when he concussed himself celebrating by banging his head against the wall. That is tier 5. It's the Saints, the Jets, the Bears, the Jags, and Houston. We're going to bring in GPP Final Takes in just a second, but I do want a bold take before we seamlessly segue. Tim, give me a bold take on Week 10.
So this isn't super bold, but one player that I'm getting into a ton of that I'm going to be playing. It looks like I'm going to be playing cash games. Ian, I'm definitely going to have in my single entry team is Hunter Henry. I don't think we talked about him enough. I really like the spot for him today. The Bucs are a pass funnel. They are one of their wide receiver short today, so I do like Hunter Henry to kind of fill that void. So he is my slate breaker.
Bobby, see Hunter Henry, raise him. What do you got?
In large field tournaments, I think I'm fading Christian McCaffrey. You're going to be underweight for sure.
All right, let's do it. Let's seamlessly bring in GPP Final Takes right now. Jordan, I know you weighed in. Bobby was happy to hear you think that we should throw San Fran in tier 3. I guess a recount is being demanded here by Bobby. Neil, do you want to chime in? Kristi, where should if you can play along with our tier board, where would you put San Francisco on the tier board?
No, I think they're right where they should be.
Projection slaves.
It's crazy.
Crazy.
Well, Kristi, you got to break the tie. I think it's your first time on the show. And
it is.
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure at all. Yeah, I guess I feel like they're probably right where they belong. So.
Wait, they're in the second tier. I think they should be at least the third tier. Like they're not that good.
No, tier 3 is where they should be.
Yeah,
is my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't think they should be tier 2. I like the Giants more than I like the Niners this weekend.
I would agree with that.
That's.
Well, there you go. Bobby, do you feel redemption now? You feel redeemed?
No, I lost still.
Well, we did everything we could to appease you, to get yourself a victory. You won last week. Tim took back the crown. Boys, we should seamlessly segue and get out of here and make way for the new crew coming in. 2 Minnesota fans, right? Is that correct, Kristi and Neil? Yes?
That's right.
Oh, yeah, nice.
There you go. And then the Titans. Well, Carolina.
Panthers, dude. I was at the top of the leaderboard.
Wait, Minnesota fans, do we like JJ McCarthy this week?
Yeah, I think he's a nice value. I'm not as excited about him as some people are. He's actually popping in sims and stuff, which makes me nervous. But I think I like JJ McCarthy a bit this week.
Kristi?
Yeah, I would agree a little bit. I'm not getting into him a lot. It always makes me nervous when he's popping in the projections. But yeah, he's an okay play for sure.
All right, we're going to get out of here. Neil, I think you're running the show. I'm assuming you're running the show. So I'm throwing it to you. Who's playing the role of buying board? It's Neil Orfield.
It is me. Yeah. This I was asked a few hours ago, just learned, didn't actually see the message until about 10 minutes ago, where I learned that I am hosting this show. So looking forward to trying to play the buying for role. I unfortunately don't really listen to him most of the time, so I don't really know, what does he say? I know he starts with, for anybody who's new to the show, we don't really go position by position or game by game. This is the GPP Final Take show. We're just gonna kind of flow through it, talk through all the angles that we like here. But happy to have Kristi joining us in, I guess, the Neil role. Kristi, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Yeah, great to see you guys. First time on the show. Looking forward to it. Big fan of both of you guys, and always love listening to this show too. So great to actually do it with you, and great to have a Minnesota fan on. I'll be heading up your way to some of the Minnesota football finals that start at US Bank Stadium on Thursday. So I'll be heading up your way. Yeah.
That'll be fun. Nice.
Yeah.
Jordan, how about you? How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I am hoping that as a Minnesota fan, you're a lot nicer to the Panthers. And I will say, I touted JJ McCarthy last week. I don't know if I would do it this week. That Baltimore defense has been so much better the last 3 weeks.
They're healthy
don't
now.
see it. Yeah,
they're healthy.
And they're getting better. They added Draymond Jones for free.
Well, should we start there? I mean, we can start with some of the top stacks. Let's start with quarterbacks. So if you're not really into JJ McCarthy, are you in on the other side, Lamar Jackson, or what quarterbacks are you prioritizing today, Jordan?
I'm worried about Lamar Jackson's rushing. He just doesn't look the same, fully healthy. I don't know if he's playing at 90% or something, but it feels like he's not evading sacks anymore at all. He's taken the most, I think, in his career through X amount of games per game. I'm worried about his rushing to be able to do it. I like Zay Flowers in the game. I don't mind the Minnesota pass catchers because they can all do it no matter who's out there with what quarterback. I've seen him do it with Nick Mullins a few years ago, but pretty much just Zay and those tier quarterbacks. But for what I like to do at the position this week, it's stick to Jared Goff, Caleb Williams, Jackson Dart. That mid-range is where I'm living for my lineups.
Okay. So you're attacking. How deep do you think your player pool or your quarterback pool gets today?
Three. I'm small.
Really?
I only play 3, single entry, 3 entry maxes. I don't play the 150s like you, Neil. So it's pretty simple for me to just build around Goff, Dart, and Caleb this weekend.
Kristi, you do play the 150s, right? Or you play at least a lot of lineups, I think. Is that correct?
Yeah, I do. I've been playing more this year, probably more single entry and 20 entry
Oh,
max, but I do occasionally. I like to hear that because I kind of like the mid tier quite a bit too. I even wrote up Caleb. I know he's not getting a lot of love, but I do like that game, and I like Caleb and Jackson Dart quite a bit. And even as the week has gone on, Brissett is someone I'm getting to a decent amount. I mean, it really allows you to do a lot with your lineups, and I like kind of stacking that game a bit. I think there's, I like Marvin Harrison, McBride. Obviously, JSN is getting a lot of love on the cash game side, but I think it makes an interesting stack, and it allows you to get some maybe other spends in there that other people aren't talking about. So kind of like that mid tier for quarterbacks as well.
so are you getting to the pay ups at all, Kristi?
Well, a little bit. So I'm doing just the 20 entry max. So,
Okay.
you talked a little bit about Lamar Jackson. I think, interestingly enough too, I think Derrick Henry's maybe going a little bit overlooked, and he's had some good games. He's kind of priced in that range close to like Dowdle and A-Chain, and some of those guys. So I think he's kind of an interesting look. So not as much to Lamar and not as much to Josh Allen. I love the Jared Goff, and I know, Jordan, you wrote him up, talked about a lot about that game. Absolutely love that game, and it always tends to go a little bit more overlooked, and there's so many pieces. Sometimes it's hard to know who to put in there, but I do think kind of overstacking that game is very interesting as well.
Yeah, the Lions game with Jared Goff, definitely one that I think I will be targeting as well. I think the only place that I differ from you guys, that I think I am prioritizing Lamar Jackson just a bit more than both of you are. I understand the hesitation with the rushing. I'm just like, at some point, you got to think he's getting healthier over time. Maybe the rushing comes back. And I think it's a game that has potential for a lot of scoring, even if it's, I think there's kind of a wide range of outcomes for this game, but I think a lot of scoring is one of the likelier outcomes in this one. And Lamar Jackson, just 6,800 feels too low to me for a guy who has, can get 70, 80 rushing yards. So I think I like him a bit better than you guys do, but I agree with you on also really liking the mid-range. You brought up Jackson Dart, Jared Goff, some of my favorites. I'm actually, I think, going to get to some Jacoby Brissett as well. Can I interest anybody in, maybe you brought up either Drake May or Baker Mayfield? Kristi, I'll start with you. Did you have any interest in the quarterbacks from that game, or are you taking anybody else from it?
No, I do. And doing just 20 lineups, I do have a little bit of exposure to that game. Drake May's been phenomenal. I like that. And Baker Mayfield always goes overlooked too, and Ibuka is looking like a fantastic GPP play. So why not get some Baker in there? Since we're kind of talking about that game too, we'll talk a little bit about Puka, I'm sure, when we get to the Rams game. But another guy that they just don't like to stack with him is Stafford, he's been getting the points. Devontae Adams, I think maybe Jordan, you talked a little bit about him, but I think Stafford's always an interesting guy that goes overlooked too. And if you're building a lot of lineups, I think you should get some exposure.
Yeah, I think that's one that I've been overlooking Stafford. Well, I've been talking about Puka Nacua. I've been talking about Devontae Adams as a spend up to get different at wide receiver, and then just like forgetting about Stafford. So I kind of like that call. Also, what do you think of that one, Jordan?
No, I love Matt Stafford. It's just the fact that he's 300 cheaper than Lamar. Like, even if I don't like Lamar and what I've seen, it's just
true.
He has to throw 350 and 3 to probably take down a GPP. I mean, Devontae Adams is been phenomenal. We talked about it last week, Neil, where I said, like, he's become the red zone offense. Like, I know we want Kyron to get all these goal line touches and have these red zone looks, but they can just throw the ball now. Like, and also I know that someone mentioned like his homecoming to Santa Clara. He just destroys Robert Saleh. He's had over 150 yards in 4 of his last 6 matchups against Robert Saleh as a 49er. D'Amico Ryans was, I think, one of those as well, which is the same scheme schematically from those two. And obviously this 49ers team, they're depleted. Like, I know that everybody's looking back to that Thursday night game where McCaffrey went crazy and they somehow beat them while they were dismantled. I think short weeks, McVay just isn't always that great. Like, it's very tough for him to get all the film review and everything that he likes to do. This time around, I think the Rams will kind of not put it to him, but control that game a lot better than they did the first matchup.
Yeah. Kristi, you already brought up Derrick Henry as a mid-range running back that you like. It seems to me that mid-range running backs are kind of ruling the day. Like, we don't have a ton of options that we can pay up for, and then like the what we can talk about, trying to find some value running backs as well. But let's start with are you going to be generally focusing on those mid-range running backs, or maybe we should start at, do you like paying up at all at running back? Let's actually start at the top. Do you like paying up at all at running back? Because we really only have Christian McCaffrey. Is he our only pay up option? I mean, then you big jump down to Jahmyr Gibbs, James Cook. So what are you doing with the guys that are above 7,000? McCaffrey, Gibbs, Cook, Achane. Are you a fan of any of those? Or are you just attacking mid-range?
Yeah, no, I am a big fan of a lot of those guys. I think McCaffrey's in a fantastic spot. Rico Dowdle obviously is carrying a lot of traction this week, but I like it. I've actually been on him even the last couple of weeks when he hasn't definitely secured his, kind of roll over Chuba, but I just think he's great. He's explosive. I've watched him and I want exposure there for sure. I just think guys like Achane, I think guys like even James Cook, Derrick Henry, those are going to be the guys that are going to come in a little bit lesser owned. And so I do have interest. Derrick Henry's been, performing better too with Lamar in the game. And he's had 3 strong games here now too. And he started getting some touchdowns in there and he's got a huge upside. And we've seen it time and time again. He kind of lets you down for a couple weeks, but he still has that spark. So I do like a lot of those guys, and I think McCaffrey and Dowdle are going to come in, as the chalk. And then you've got a couple of, like cash game options like Montgomery and Travion Henderson that are going to come in and being popular too. So anything that you do different there, Gibbs, I think is a great example. He kind of let everyone down last week, and I think he's a fantastic GPP play this week at very low ownership.
It just occurred to me, Kristi, I've been looking at DraftKings pricing. I think you're primarily a FanDuel player. Is that correct? Do you play it all on DraftKings?
Correct. I do both, but more so on FanDuel. Yep.
Okay, so we're going to be looking at things a little bit differently because the pricing obviously varies a bit.
Yes.
Place to place. Can I ask you to rank? Let me look at who the pricing on FanDuel. Can I ask you to rank those top 5? Yeah, it's the same top 5. So it's McCaffrey, Cook, Gibbs, Achane, Henry. How would you rank that 5? What's your order of the pay ups, Henry and above on FanDuel or DraftKings?
Yeah, so I think what I would go to, you said on DraftKings.
No.
Either one. It's the same 5 running back.
Yeah.
So wherever you prefer to play.
Yeah, exactly. McCaffrey for me, is number 1. So I really like him. I would say 2, I'm going to go Gibbs. I like that game, and I just think he's an interesting GPP. I'd probably go Cook and Achane next. And who was your 5th one? Henry? Henry's probably 5 for me.
Oh, I'm surprised. I thought that you really loved Henry, so I was sure you were
I do, but when I'm looking at my exposures here on my 20 entry max too, he's probably the least exposure I have, but they're all guys I like, and I have exposure to all of them.
Okay.
So
you're down for paying up this week at running back.
I am.
Jordan, I'll switch over to you for the pay up running backs. Do you have it kind of the same ranking? How do you feel about and are you spending up at running back this week?
This week, I'm probably not getting much of this range. Not that it just isn't great spots. It's just opportunity cost to some of the receivers that I want to get to. And the matchup, like Christian McCaffrey at 9K, I know it's Christian McCaffrey and that he's going to get probably 20, 27 touches. I just think that there was a blueprint that Houston kind of put out there that I think the Rams will be able to adapt. They got some new pieces in their secondary. It wouldn't surprise me to see a safety or a corner, or like a slot corner covering McCaffrey out of the backfield this week. I'm intrigued to see what they do because they added Quentin Lake, I think, from trade with Tennessee. And I think there's a chance that they actually put him on Christian McCaffrey on some of those passing downs. That will eliminate what he did in that first matchup. Jahmyr Gibbs is the most intriguing of the group. I love Detroit this week. I think they could score 50. Like, this is the type of matchup where they just dominate because everybody's going to go, well, it's outside. Jared Goff can never play outside. I'm pretty sure he's gone outside plenty now in the last 3 to 4 years where he's just dominated. Especially, I think in Chicago, he's done it twice now where they just put on a show. Gibbs in a bounce back spot against the Commanders. James Cook is in a good matchup. Achane's in a good role. I just don't love James Cook getting that foot injury in the middle, like the first day of the week. And then it's like, yeah, no, he's fine. I don't know if it's just college football rubbing off on me, but like these questionable and availability reports and the way that teams handle this stuff, it's like James Cook's fine, but he's only going to get like 15 touches this week, and Ray Davis all of a sudden gets a ton of work, and that's just going to be a nightmare.
Yeah, I guess I had not thought about that since he's been cleared from the injury report. I'm kind of like, all right, he's fine. You can just play James Cook as usual. But you're right, that is something that could be more concerning than they are letting on. Kristi, now you brought up some of the mid-range options, and now we're excluding Derrick Henry from this list, so we can go the running backs below Derrick Henry. Rico Dowdle is the chalk today at running back, but we have several pretty strong options in that range, or at least I think we do. We have several that I'm going to be targeting. Who do you like below the top 5 in running back? Starting with the mid-range there. You have any targets?
Yeah, I'll be kind of interested to see what you guys think too. Earlier in the week, we didn't have a lot of clarity on the Bears game. We're coming off a huge game with Monungai, who looked explosive, and now we've got Swift in there, and it just sets up to be a great opportunity. And so I think if, especially in large field tournaments, I think, playing one of those guys is super interesting. They're kind of running with the hot hand, but I don't know. I just think that makes an interesting, and they're priced pretty good too. So I do have some interest there with Swift and Monungai. Judkins obviously is looking pretty good too, projecting well. So I definitely like him as well. Let's see here. Just going to pull up my other list here.
I'm curious what you're doing with Rico Dowdle specifically, just because he's going to get the most ownership. Is he the one you think you're going to get to the most of from that group?
Yeah, he's my highest owned guy. He and McCaffrey are right up there. Travion Henderson too is a guy that is pretty cheap in the mix. But I do like David Montgomery. Kind of going back to that Lions game too. I just think this game sets up well for him too. He should have some opportunities. Should have some goal line opportunities. And so for like a cheaper guy, I think Henderson's going to be a little bit more popular. And I'm kind of going more the Montgomery route where I'm needing to save some money. So I'm finding some Montgomery kind of in the flex spot for myself. I think even, guys like Breece Hall, Rashad White, they're pretty cheap over on DraftKings too. And I think getting a little bit of exposure to them is a good idea as well.
Yeah, I mean, especially on FanDuel, you bring up Travion Henderson. Like he's fairly cheap on DraftKings, but on FanDuel, Travion Henderson is like 5,900 on FanDuel is
Exactly.
really low for a guy like Travion Henderson. So yeah, looks like a strong value on FanDuel. Jordan, how about you? Who do you like in the mid range at running back? I think you're muted, Jordan.
Dude, this is crazy. I always mute myself sometimes, but Quinshon Judkins is that standout for me against the Jets. You lose Quinnen Williams. Quincy Williams gets benched. This is a team that's undergoing that transition. And it reminds me of the first year that Aaron Glenn was in with Detroit with Dan Campbell, where the first year of that team, like they gutted a lot of that roster. And if you remember, that was the years of Detroit giving up like 2,000 yards rushing every year. This is a spot where even though they're playing, obviously, the Browns, it's not exactly the most deadly offense. Quinshon is one of the better running backs in football and from what I've seen so far in his rookie season. And this is a spot where they should be able to win up front and take advantage of it. Kyron, for some reason against the 49ers, it goes crazy. He's the 4 games where he scored over 30. 3 of them are against the 49ers. It is just a weird, like, they find a way to throw him the football to the backfield, get some red zone, even though I do think Devontae Adams will have some more red zone offense. He has to make up for that fumble in the Thursday night that costed them the game just a few weeks ago. And I feel like every time I talk about the Panthers, the opposite happens. Like last week, I thought no chance we beat the Packers. It's like, unless we run the ball successful. We did. We found a way, and then Jordan Love just had one of those games where I don't know if you saw the picture of like Mike Jackson in the end zone where the ball is coming towards his way and there's no receiver.
Oh yeah, I mean I saw the play.
Yeah. That just there's a picture where it's just like the ball is coming to him. It's like, are the Panthers on offense? And it's like, no, this is just Jordan Love throwing the ball. Outside of that, I'm not really getting to that sub 6K. Like I think Kenneth Walker is interesting against Arizona. Just in the second matchup, I think Kyle Monungai is interesting against against the Giants because everybody presumes Swift gets his rollback. This could be a spot where he's just run so well. Like they should just feature him and let Swift play the passing down back. But we'll see what they do. I think like Ben Johnson's first year in Detroit too as the OC, Jamal Williams stole the job from Swift after Swift started the year as the lead back. And
That's
then
right.
they made it that type of combo. So this one could be the same thing.
Yeah, I mean the coach speak is that they're going to play the hot hand approach, which again, like coming into the game, like the hot hand would be Kalmanungai, but obviously that's after Swift was injured, so who knows how they plan to approach it going in, who's going to get the first crack there. But I agree that it's interesting. It's tough because I don't know which one of them I like, and I think Kalmanungai is getting the lower ownership of the Bears running backs, so for large field GPPs. I think that he's actually my preference just from the standpoint of maybe they just do give the start to the guy who absolutely dominated last week. But do you guys, are you on the same page? Is he your preference if you're going to a Bears running back, or is Swift just going to get the roll back?
He's my preference for sure.
Yeah, he is mine too. Yep. And I actually had built a couple of lineups early on this week before we even knew what, Swift was if he was gonna play or not. And yeah, I still like Manungai. After watching him last week, he looks explosive, and if they do run the hot hand, like the coach has been talking, I think he's very sneaky.
Yeah. It's funny. We got a question. How about Quinshaw Judkins putting a hole into the Jets today with why no love for him after the Jets defense traded away? Yeah, no, Jordan just talked about how much he loves
Yeah, exactly.
Quinshaw
I do too.
Judkins. Kristi also loves him.
Mhm.
Yeah, Quinshaw Judkins to me was like the first running back I looked at this week is like that looks like a smash spot for after they traded away their best defenders. So yeah, we're all very much into playing a lot of Quinshaw Judkins today. A pretty big priority, it sounds like, for all three of us. As I mentioned earlier, though, we don't have a ton of value. You brought up Kalmanungai at 5,600, same price as Trevion Henderson. Like, we don't have much cheaper than that. Nobody who's really getting any kind of ownership cheaper than Kalmanungai and Trevion Henderson at 5,600. I'm curious if either of you have any sleeper running backs or just any running backs that you like below that price point on DraftKings at 5,600, because that seems to be the cutoff for any running backs that are really getting any kind of ownership here. I think I have a couple that I throw out there as like names I'll work into my player pool, but I want to hear if you guys have anybody. I'll start with you, Kristi. Do you have any running backs that on DraftKings below 5,600 that are going to make your player pool today?
Yeah, I do have. I mentioned David Montgomery already, and on both sites, I think he's fine. I know Jordan mentioned Kenneth Walker. If you're playing a lot of lineups, I think he's someone that you can throw in there as well. Yeah, those are a couple that I would throw in there.
Yeah, I missed David Montgomery there as one that you like. Jordan, is it Kenneth Walker for you below 5,600?
Yeah, it's just those two, but I'm mainly living in the Rico Dowdle, Judkins, Kyron, like that this week. It feels like balance builds overall are kind of the way that this slate is looking, like where your Zay Flowers, your 5'9", like I know the top quarterbacks are great, but when you plug in Jared Goff and you try to get a Monroe after that, it's pretty much like, oh, well, we just find balance, guys. I can't fit in a Puka or a McCaffrey into this type of build.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does seem like, every conversation we have about the different positions, it's like, yep, the mid-range looks pretty good. Quarterback, running back, tough to find much value here. I'll throw out a few names and I'll get your opinion. I'd like your opinions on them. A few names that I am considering. So first of all, I'm with you on Kenneth Walker. I think is a pretty strong play at 5,300. We saw the workload kind of flip in his favor last week.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, and we know he's got the big play upside. So I like the call of Kenneth Walker. I like the Montgomery call as well. A couple more names that I want to throw out are Aaron Jones at 5,200. Again, I just think that he has looked like he has a connection with JJ McCarthy. We haven't seen like major targets there, but like when JJ McCarthy targets Aaron Jones, we see chunk plays. And I kind of wonder if we're going to start seeing more of the workload go to Aaron Jones, because he really helps out JJ McCarthy, I think. And that's a big thing for Kevin O'Connell, is just like, all right, let's do what we can to help our first year, not rookie, but first year quarterback here in JJ McCarthy. So I like Aaron Jones if he's active, which we'll find out very soon. They did bring up another running back to the squad this week, which maybe concerns me a little bit, but they said he's going to play. So if he's active, I think Aaron Jones playable. Woody Marks at 5,100. I like the matchup with the Jaguars. I like Woody Marks's kind of volatile role, where some weeks he gets a lot of work, other weeks he doesn't. I think he's kind of fun for large field GPPs. And I know you guys, or at least Jordan, you don't really play the large field GPPs that I do. So I understand these players won't make your player pool, but for those of us who are playing 150 plus lineups, I wanted your thoughts on those two. And then just the only other one I'll throw out there is Chris Rodriguez, captain of the Washington Commanders, 4,200 on DraftKings this week. kind of intriguing if we think he could get that bell cow role. So those three: Aaron Jones, Chris Rodriguez, Woody Marks. Can I Kristi, can I interest you in any of those three?
Yeah, it's funny. Aaron Jones, I overlooked him a little bit. I had written him down earlier in the week. If I was playing 150 lineups, he would definitely make my pool. I think he's interesting, and his price has come way down, and he seems to be the guy. And I think if he's in the game yet, he's coming off 11.8 points in his last game. He has the potential to break off some long runs and get some touchdowns in there. And I kind of overlooked him too. And I think the field will do so as well. In a game with a high total, he's probably my favorite out of the group that you just listed there, Neil, and think he's a great play.
Jordan, how about you? Any interest in any of those three?
So funny enough, quick little story on the Rodriguez call out. Last week when the Commanders and the Seahawks were playing on Monday night on Underdog on the live streets over there for some props, I saw Torrey Horton's over under in catches was 2.5, and he already had the one, and I'm like, oh, he won pretty quickly. So I clicked that and I was like, I want to pair it with something. And I saw Ja'Cory Crosby-Merritt's rushing line at 30 yards, 30.5 live line. And I was like, he's the lead running back. I'll take it. Didn't end up getting there until the very, very, very last drive of the game. And I needed just 4 yards and watch him get stuffed 2 or 3 times. The running back that was way better than him the entire game was Chris Rodriguez. I don't know why that JCM is still playing the high, usage that he's a 7th-round pick and everybody made him a thing. Chris Rodriguez was a 4th-round pick and just a bruiser in the middle. I definitely think he's interesting if you're going to, try to get to that Jared Goff high passing day. Maybe there's a fumble in the kickoff or something, and you get a Chris Rodriguez touchdown early at 4-2. It allows you to get to, you get to a JSN McCaffrey and probably a Monra with that type of 4-2 running back. Woody Marks is interesting from the pass catching role. The over-under, I saw 37, and I was just like, I just can't. These teams, and they, the new offense, I feel like the fact that they're going to have to throw Jacoby Myers out there, they're just going to even play even slower. I don't think they're going to be able to play up-tempo at all, and just the way the script, with Davis Mills on the other side too. It'll be tough to see enough volume in the game environment to get there for Woody, but if it is a little bit higher pace than I expect, he's obviously in play. It's pass-catching role too. And then the third one was, who's the third one that you had?
Let's see, Woody Marks, Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones, yeah. It's just health. If he's healthy, I agree. He is clearly the guy over Jordan Mason. Yep. It's just, can he be on the field? That is the biggest question of Aaron Jones' entire career.
Yep.
Yeah. So we'll get inactives in a few minutes here. If he's active and we don't get any kind of news, I guess I assume that he is healthy enough to play and make a difference here. But we'll get that pretty soon. We did get BS. Yeah, he says ETN is above 5,600, but yeah, maybe they lean into the run. What about ETN? Are we just avoiding that game altogether? Jordan, you just said that you don't love the game environment, but any interest in Travis Etienne?
I was going to reply in the chat, but also I could just do it here. It's great in theory when you think Houston could be in a good game script for him. He's just losing high the best touches. He's getting stuffed at the goal line, and they're all of a sudden bringing in a new back, and he finds the end zone. It feels like he is what Kenneth Walker is, where Kenneth Walker does all the work at sometimes, and then Charbonnet just has to come in and score the touchdown, or they have to go play action when they're finally going to give him opportunity near the red zone. So it's just tough to trust that he's going to get the opportunity, especially since he's just been failing when he's been in the red zone.
True. Kristi, any interest in Travis Etienne?
I don't. For me, playing kind of 20 lineups too, sometimes I just like to cross off games. This is one for me. Although I will say Parker Washington is somebody that I kept in my player pool. I think he's a fine value really on both sites. But yeah, I just don't have a lot of interest in this game. I think if you're playing large field, yeah, possibly. But yeah, kind of a cross off for me.
We also got the question, Kristi, I'll send this one to you. Riley asks, Henderson or Monty on FanDuel?
I'm going Montgomery on FanDuel. I just like the upside just a little bit better and the game environment. I just think there's, a little bit more of a ceiling in this particular game.
I see TJ is updating us with the actives and inactives as we get the news. Joshua Palmer is inactive. DeAndre Swift active. Aaron Jones is active. So that's the news that we're getting so far. We should be getting more now as inactives have just come out. But so we've talked about running backs. We've talked about quarterbacks. Let's talk about some of the stacking options. We'll start with the receivers. Kristi, is this the spot where we are paying up? We've got Puka Nacua, we've got Jackson Smith and Jigba, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams, a lot of like pretty strong pay up options. Do you think you will be paying up at wide receiver today?
Yeah, I know in a couple of my lineups that I had built here kind of before we jumped on the show, I kind of mentioned liking Brissett a little bit, and it allows you to get up, pay up a little bit more for a good running back and a receiver. And, Jackson Smith Najigba for me is one of the top receivers on the slate. I also like Puka Nacua a ton too. And I think, he might come in a little bit more under-owned, but I like those guys quite a bit. I also think, kind of in that mid-tier, I'm gonna have to play some guys that are a little bit maybe more uncomfortable. I am gonna throw Marvin Harrison out there too, because I think I mentioned him in some of the stacks. I think he's super interesting. He's coming off a 10 target game, and I kind of like just overstacking that game in general for GPPs. So I have some interest there. But yeah, for me, I do want to get one of those spend ups in there, whether it's Puka, whether it's Jackson Smith Najigba. Amon-Ra St. Brown, we've talked extensively about that Detroit game. So I think he's good up there too. But yeah, I think then you're going to have guys like Justin Jefferson that are going to go a little bit overlooked too. We talked a little bit about Minnesota. We talked a little bit about that game environment. But yes, I do want to get at least one spend up in my lineups today.
How about you, Jordan? Any priorities for you among these spend up wide receivers? Do you think you're going to be playing them this week?
Yeah, I'll be getting to Amon-Ra St. Brown for sure, just because I'm playing Jared Goff. It's the easy way to go do it. I don't know if I'll get as much JSN and Puka. And JSN, it's just I'm more interested to watch it. The way that these teams adjust. This is going to be a team that got to see the Seattle offense and now has a second opportunity against it. Seattle plays a weird brand. They play a lot. They go a lot of 3 tight ends and then throw. And teams have no idea what to do with it. Linebackers and coverage is a nightmare. So I'm interested to see how they use Rashid Shaheed today too. That's a player not from necessarily a tournament perspective. I think a 4 p.m. only type of play for me this week, because he knows the offense. He was with Clint Kubiak last year. Sam Darnold's been throwing an incredible deep ball, and that's a way to make that's going to be his role for this offense. He's going to be clearing out for JSN to run underneath. And with Arizona, they play like a cover 4 type team scheme, but it's very unique compared to other teams. A lot of people this week brought up JSN's numbers against cover 4. He only had 70 yards. His worst game of the season came up against the team that runs it the most. And the reason is because it's a very different blend of scheme. You can't run a lot of the deep crossers that he wins on. So I think Shaheed over to the top will be an interesting way for that Seattle game to kind of shoot out in Arizona or against Arizona. Justin Jefferson, I just can't get to it because I think Baltimore's good. That's the one receiver. I understand people playing it. If you're playing McCarthy, you need to play Jefferson or at least consider him heavily. But Devontae Adams would be a preference over Jay Jettis this weekend, especially with the ownership difference.
Yeah, I like Devontae Adams as well this weekend. I will say Puka Nacua, I think, is being overlooked a little bit. I mean, he's getting some ownership, but this is a great matchup with San Francisco.
Yes, it is
a slot funnel matchup, and he's Puka Nacua. He just puts up 25 fantasy points in his sleep. So to me, he looks like, especially on DraftKings. Would you agree with that, Kristi? That Puka Nacua, I mean, he looks good regardless, but especially on DraftKings at 8,700, does he look better to you than FanDuel?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think you're exactly right. I think, there's so much focus on JSN that, he's going to, and I like even getting to McCaffrey and Puka and then just kind of building from there too and getting, kind of all the points there.
Yeah. Just get the 2, those are the kind of smash
get
plays.
The 2 stars.
Even if they don't score touchdowns, they're going to put up so many fantasy points. And then if they do score touchdowns, break the absolute, break the slate. So I think that is a good call. Playing those 2 together could be a lot of fun if we can find the value here. I want you guys to know I did try to get TJ to come on the show, but he said that he's too busy for us. He doesn't want to partake in this show. He's breaking the news and he is hosting the next show. So we'll give him a break. Oh, look, I knew that was going to work. I
like Kristi, but I simply don't like Jordan and Neil enough to do it.
That's fair. That is fair. That
What did I do? Just thinking.
You were trying to goad him into coming in chat also. So so you are also partially to blame.
I thought it would be a cool segment, but that's all. I didn't say that he hated us or anything, but it's okay. I get it.
He said you didn't have to say it because TJ just came in and said it for you.
I don't remember who it was, Jordan, but there was like 3 weeks ago you said to play somebody and I played him and it didn't go well, and I've been holding it against you ever since.
That's probably me. That's for sure.
Are you sure it wasn't me? Because I gave a suggestion that you played and I put up a 0. So.
Yeah, the Jalen Tolbert one. That's why I don't like you either, Neil.
Okay. I think it was Jalen Naylor. Jalen Naylor last week was mine, but you guys go to in the crucial moment. Like the game with Jalen Naylor.
Yeah,
I know. And I also thought Detroit would score. That was also Brian Flores being a lunatic against that Lions defense.
Yeah, that was a fun game.
That was my biggest L last week, was the amount of Jahmyr Gibbs I had.
Same. Yeah. That was a tough time with Jahmyr Gibbs. Hopefully this week he does well, or at least the Lions. If the Lions offense fails again, it's me, guys. It's me. I played it. It's my fault. I don't normally overstack the Lions offense. And
how do you feel about Jameson Williams getting to him at all?
I am there's a lot of people who look at the Trey Tucker game and just be like, look, speed, like that did it. Yep. And it's like, that was more slot than speed. That was a very, very good matchup in the slot. Like Mike Sarin still had a phenomenal rookie season. He's had a very bad second year. And people have him on film. Like Torrey Horton cooked him this past week. And he also had a little back and forth with Amon-Ra quite a bit during that playoff game. So I think Amon-Ra might be extra motivated as someone that has the list of all the receivers drafted ahead of him and just someone that plays with that type of intensity. I think he's going to try to put on a show.
I like it. By the way, I guess as a host, I should be reminding people, please do like this video if you haven't already done so. That's how we get people to the stream. We need that kind of interaction. So if you would like the video, that would be very much appreciated. And of course, subscribe to the RotoGrinders YouTube channel if you haven't already done so. All right, let's other wide receivers. So we've talked about kind of the high end. We brought JMO in there to talk about that Detroit stack a little bit, but we have kind of a robust mid-range here. We've got Emeka Egbuka is 7,000. Nico Collins, I don't know if we have interest in that with Davis Mills throwing the ball, but then Jalen Waddle has been pretty good without Tyreek Hill there. Kristi, I'll go to you. Or are there any of these wide receivers in the mid-range that you like?
Yep, I do like Egbuka. I'm not getting maybe as much as him because I'm paying up for kind of a Jackson Smith-Njigba or a Puka, but kind of in that mid-tier too. I mentioned, Parker Washington. You've got guys like Tez Johnson. I think that you can use Jawan Jennings at 4,600 over on DraftKings. Jameson Williams, we obviously mentioned him. I'll even throw out like a guy like Zacchaeus in the Bears game at 3,600. I know the weather is a little bit iffy there, but he's somebody that has some upside. Michael Wilson at 3,300. If you're really digging deep there too, are guys that I'm getting to. I'll also throw out Deebo Samuel at 5,600. I know Mariota is going to be fairly popular, especially for cash. And, when healthy, he's just used so many ways and the upside is very, very good there. So I think he's a fine mid-tier play around 5,600.
TJ, how about you? Sorry, Jordan, how about you? Outside of, I know, big blunder. We need Eric. Outside of the payoffs at wide receiver, any big priorities for you?
So I'll give out one of my grosser takes in the slate is Kyle Williams for the Patriots. That's one of my guys from the Senior Bowl and just someone that I fully believe in as a pass catcher. I don't know what type of role he's going to get, but he's someone that I don't care that he has one catch in the season. He's never been actually a part of the game plan. They've never built the game plan to actually target him. This week, they'll have a lot of opportunity to do so against Tampa Bay. And in that Seattle game, his skill set fits what JSN was able to do down the field. Obviously, he's not JSN, but you're not looking for a whole lot from a 3K option on DraftKings. In the mid-tier, Zay Flowers is the one that stands out. 5'9". He, in the first 3 weeks of the season, when Lamar Jackson was blitzed, he had a 44% target share. and teams blitz Lamar quite a bit because they like to get after him in the backfield, and noticing he isn't as agile as he normally is, I think the Vikings are going to come after him again. I know he's very popular, but he's just in a spot where it's clear he's the number one. Rome Odunze is in a bounce back spot against the Giants. I know the weather might have some issues, but he has such a high target share against man coverage. Giants are one of the man coverage teams in the league, and they're just beat up in that secondary. So I think he is getting overlooked from an ownership perspective. I don't have interest in Nico or Egbuka as much just because of the price. Like Egbuka's price point is like he's paid off that once this year. Like he did it against Seattle where it's 34. But like I don't know if 20 is winning this type of slate. It feels like this slate will have a little bit more scoring with all the balance builds. And he's just 20. I don't know if it does it for you. And then Nico Collins, I'm just not trusting Davis Mills. I did that a long time ago when he played the Dolphins. It was before Nico's breakout season with Stroud. I watched it in person, and I was like, wow, Nico could get open. Wow, Davis Mills cannot throw him the football. It is a tough one to watch. And everybody talks about his numbers against the Jaguars. That was Tyson Campbell. They literally traded Tyson Campbell a week after they played the Texans. They got rid of the guy who's covering Nico Collins because like, you can't do this. Like we want Greg Newsome to come in. Greg Newsome's a little bit probably better of a matchup. I think they played at Northwestern in Michigan during their time in college and just probably at some point in the pros. I'm interested to see if that 100-yard streak or whatever it is for Nico Collins continues.
Yeah, will be a fun one to watch. You brought up Kyle Williams from the Patriots with no Kayshon Boutte. Jordan, do you have any interest in Stephon Diggs? Do you think he's the wide receiver one there? How much interest do you have?
If I'm playing May, I get there. I don't know if I'm going to one-off Diggs in particular. I know Tampa Bay is a pass funnel. They've just really mixed up their coverages this year. Todd Bowles stopped just living in cover 3 and blitzing. This year, he actually deploys a lot of more too high shells and kind of mixes and matches. If they decide to play a lot of single high coverage, I'm going to regret not getting to Diggs. I'm just worried about if they're going to revert back to old ways or if they're going to continue what they've been doing this year. And it's really made them a much better defense overall.
Also, you are our resident Panthers fan. Teteroa McMillan is playing today. Are we getting to any Teteroa McMillan?
I can't trust the hammy. Like, I don't know what the injury was. Like, it feels like one day it was like Rico Dowdle quad, and I'm like, oh, that sucks. Like, I guess we have to look at Chuba again. And it's like, nope, he practiced in full. By the way, Tet, hamstring, figure it out. I'm like, no, I don't. I hate this team. I can't. Every time I say something about like one of them being good and one of them being bad or anything, Neil, it's been the opposite all year. I think chat's still yelling at me for Rico Dowdle's first game. So
very sad. So man, Wan'Dale Robinson, I don't know if you guys brought him up, but this is also another slot funnel. It was a slot funnel last week for Wan'Dale Robinson, and I loaded up and I guess he was fine. He put up like 14 DraftKings.
He had 11 targets. That's what that's what you want.
I mean, do we think it happens again this week? Jackson Dart kind of chalky, Wan'Dale kind of chalky, but I still sort of like both of them. I still think the upside is there for the Dart Wan'Dale stacks. Can I interest either of you I guess Jordan will go back to you. Can I interest you in Wan'Dale Robinson this week?
Yeah, I mean, if the winds are blowing and you can't throw it far, who are you going to throw it to? You're going to throw it to the guy that lived off of a low ADOT for such a long period of time. Paulson Adebo is inactive for the Giants, by the way, as well. Obviously, I think he did not practice all week, too, just to reiterate Rome Odunze being a great play. Wan'Dale and Derry, if for whatever reason, if we can not have the wins there, Darius Slayton looked like a great play all week for me.
Kristi, any interest for you in those Giants wide receivers? Wan'Dale, Darius Slayton, Ray McLeod, maybe?
Yeah, no, I do. Especially, kind of stacking that game up a little bit. I do like that game environment. And one guy I was going to mention too, because obviously not excited about the Browns offense, but got a guy like Cedric Tillman that's just the min price over on FanDuel. He's kind of projecting in some of the sim runs and things like that too. Can certainly make a lot of things work. So I don't know what you guys think about that, but I know he's kind of popping here as of late too.
Oh, he's like, is that 4,000 on FanDuel? Is he like?
He's 4,000. Yeah,
crazy.
He's like the stone. Yeah, which is pretty wild and doesn't have to do a lot. And just kind of can't ignore that coming back from injury for sure.
Yeah, Isaiah Bond is out. Nobody's really been doing well for the Browns, but
Yep.
this is Sauce Gardner traded away, Quinnen Williams traded away, as we talked about.
That's the thing.
The matchup. I think that's an interesting call out for FanDuel in particular. Jordan, how about you? Any interest in Tillman or any of those Browns receivers?
I'm fine with Tillman or Judy. We haven't seen it with Tillman because he just hasn't exactly played for obviously this season. We haven't seen him play with Dylan Gabriel. It could be the number one. Like we haven't seen anybody truly be that successful with Dylan Gabriel back there. So it's like, hey, this guy is going to be put into a lineup. I think Judy is also very interesting because of just historically he's dominated man coverage. And Jets just moved Sauce Gardner. Aaron Glenn is a very predominant like man team. So Judy and Tillman, I think, are fine one-offs. Like, I mean, heck, if you really want to get gross for a milli maker, I wouldn't hate playing a Dylan Gabriel, Tillman, and Jerry Judy lineup. I wouldn't hate it.
I like Jordan again.
And in a milli maker lineup, I think it's fun.
He's back.
Like you play 150. I think that should be because you're getting, assuming Dylan Gabriel's good, that's probably 80% of the production. Unless I guess David Njoku is back now, but Tillman's banged up too, right? Not Tillman,
Yes.
Fannin. So So
what if Gabriel throws one touchdown each to Cedric Tillman and Jerry Judy? He gets you 14 points, 15 points, and in that lineup, it allows you to get you Jackson Smith and Jigba, Christian McCaffrey, and Puka Nacua or Devontae Adams, whichever you choose.
I like
all in the same lineup.
I like it.
No, that's how you do it. That's how you jam it.
That's how you do it.
I agree.
That is how I'm doing it.
I like it. I like it.
Jawan Jennings is the other way you can do that if you want to get really gross today. Is if you want to play McCaffrey, Nacua, and JSN together, Shuck and Gabriel were my two ways that I could do it.
Dude, are you going to do the Rico Dowdle 2-pump when if you win the Millie Maker off that, dude? Is that you're going to celebrate?
I win the Millie Maker, I'll do 3 pumps and pay the sign.
Nice.
And you'll have the money to do so if you're in the Millie Maker.
In Canada,
Todd Pierce.
Tax-free, I might pump 4 times.
Right?
I love
Todd Pierce today was asking, he was telling me and Bime for that he wanted us to talk him off of Mac Hollins, and I said that I took that to mean he wants us to find grosser plays than Mac Hollins on this slate, and I think we've done so. We brought up several Browns players that we're interested in playing today.
Yeah, I brought up Kyle Williams. That's basically the double to the Mac Hollins gross play.
So if you're looking for gross plays, we have found the gross plays. Other pay down option that I have interest in, and somebody was just bringing it up in chat asking about, I have interest in Rashad Bateman at 3,900. I think like the ultimate leverage play with everybody going to Zay Flowers.
Absolutely.
Rashad Bateman is cheap. We haven't seen it yet this year, but he has shown the ability to put up those big games last year, and he's better with Lamar Jackson. He has not played that many games with Lamar Jackson this year, so kind of a smaller sample size. So I think like it's not like super unlikely for Rashad Bateman to put up a score that you really want at his price tag. Sounds like Kristi, you're with me.
Yeah, I do. I had written him down earlier too, just thinking, yeah, exactly. I think he'll go overlooked and for a cheap option in this game too. And hey, he's a Minnesota gopher guy too. Right. So yeah. Coming back to Minnesota, but yeah, I think that's a sneaky play too. If you're really looking to save and want to get away from maybe some of the chalkier guys like Tillman and dumpster diving that we've been doing.
How about you, Jordan? Any interest in Rashad Bateman?
I love the game theory behind it. Like obviously pivot off of Zay. You mentioned that he was in Minnesota. He was incredible at Minnesota Desmo.
Right.
And I mean, like it again with the way Flores plays, it just takes a good route down the field and enough protection to just throw it downfield. Like we've seen it for 5 straight weeks with Jameson, Devonta Smith. Like every possible big play opportunity is there if you can just hit the double move and protect long enough. And Bateman could easily be on the other end of that, especially at just what 24% less loan projected right now. That's insane.
Yeah.
That is
Bateman
insane.
Not getting any ownership.
Yeah.
I saw somebody in chat earlier was asking about Xavier Hutchinson. I think that's a no for me. We just not that interested in the game. And then we have Nico Collins and Christian Kirk back, so we're all on the same page there.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, those are the only dumpster guys. Like Jalen Coker, I think is fine if you really think Tet is truly banged up. He's just going to get the slot, and that's just nice to have for just this offense. Obviously, even if Rico does banged up too, Coker's been out there. He just hasn't been that productive yet.
And Kristi already brought up Michael Wilson also as somebody that we can play.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about some tight ends. So last week we had Brock Bowers reminded us that he is Brock Bowers.
Oh.
This week, what are we doing with tight end? We can start at the I mean, Trey McBride, I think, is kind of a tier of his own. Are we on the same page there? I can ask Kristi, do you have interest in Trey McBride?
I do, just because I, kind of like that game. I've kind of talked about Brissett and kind of stacking that up. And I think, McBride is somebody you're definitely going to want to have in there too. And so I like that. Colson Loveland is someone I'm interested in as well. He had a huge week last week. I know one was kind of at the end there, game-winning touchdown, but he'll have pretty low ownership, especially with Kmet back. So I think that's kind of intriguing. Kittle, Laporta, both kind of similar price points over on DraftKings. Laporta, again, we love that game environment. Kittle just hasn't done much, but he's cheap, and so I think they're all should be included kind of in your player pool a little bit. Other guys that I'm getting to, I think you could throw. I think I heard him talk on the show, Hunter Henry. I mean, he's really cheap too. Getting exposure in that Patriots game, 3,500 over on DraftKings, I think is really good price point there. And then kind of going back to, we talked about the Minnesota-Baltimore game too. You've got Andrews, but you've also got Isaiah too, likely too. So you've got a couple of guy options there. And then last one I'd throw out there too is Cade Otton. He's 3,900. So you've got a lot right in kind of that mid-tier range there. So they're not all going to be played. So I think you can get a little bit different there, but those are all strong options that I think are a great place today.
Yeah, it seems like it's kind of not like super obvious who you're going to play. Like there are several pretty good options.
Exactly.
I think you just brought up a lot of them, Kristi. Jordan, how about you? Do you have any standout tight ends this week?
With my love for Jared Goff, it's Laporta. Just when you look back to Washington, like Tucker Kraft, 124 and a touchdown in a game,
exactly.
He got hurt in the game and then came back in and still put up huge numbers. Kelsey almost had 100 yards. When's the last time Kelsey had a 100-yard game? Very hard.
Exactly.
Kyle Pitts had 70. I mean, they stopped Brock Bowers when he was the ghost of Brock Bowers. So that was the only one. Dalton Kincaid's really good. Miami's terrible against tight ends. He already had 64 and a touchdown earlier in the year with Jackson Hall stealing a touchdown as well. George Kittle, I just don't know if I can play him until Brock Purdy comes back. Until it's Purdy, I'm just looking at Kittle and I'm like, is Mac Jones going to carry it? I can't trust it. Trey McBride is great. I just can't pay to it just from my love for Goff with Laporta. It feels like Trey McBride would be in play for me if I was playing Brissett, which is a fantastic game environment considering the slate doesn't have a ton of like that. That doesn't feel like there's a ton of shootouts. It feels like there's a ton of teams that should dominate. Like the Lions, the Bills, you got the Rams, in my opinion. It feels like there's a lot of games where it's like this team's probably going to score 28, like 30, and you're going to have the opportunity to. It's just a matter of what tight end is part of that. Cade Otton's interesting against New England, and then I do like the Hunter Henry call that the guys had earlier. He's been incredible all year, and I don't know why his price is 35. I don't know why Harold Fann's 42 and he's 35. Neil, can you explain that to me?
I cannot. I mean, Harold Fannin is the GOAT, so I think that's part of it. It's just Harold Fannin. Love that guy, Harold Fannin. But no, I cannot explain it. I want. Aaron Smith says Miami Dulcich has to be the dumpster play at tight end. He looked pretty good on the showdown.
He wrote him up
on a main slate.
Yeah, no, I wrote him up. I think he's got the Darren Waller like role of like pass catching because Julian Hill's back, but he's not very good. They had Jalen Conyers, who's not very good either. And like he basically is on the team for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And it just like came in against the Baltimore Ravens, like, yeah, I'll take 5 targets, 49 yards. Like Mike McDaniels was like, yeah, you're playing. Like, I'm gonna get fired. You're fine. Let's do this. Let's figure it out.
Love it. Yeah, we can go to some dumpster diving for Greg Dulcich. So it sounds like you're not big on Fannin. Who, if you were to play one of the Cleveland tight ends, who would be your preference between Fannin and Njoku, Jordan?
On DraftKings, it's Njoku. I know Fannin's been very good. Like he's been good. But been all right, I guess. The Browns, I would use the word all right. He just, to me, I think Njoku's just healthier, and it's just going to boil down to that.
Okay. Kristi, do you have a thought on Brown side? Are you interested in either of the Brown side ends on either site?
Yeah, I do. I think Njoku, just because it's a pretty significant price difference too, and so it allows you to get a lot more in there too by playing Njoku. So I probably favor him, but I think both are fine if you're looking to. But I think if I'm going to play Fannin, I mean, he's right at the 4,200 range. I just think there's some other guys I like a little bit better, especially Hunter Henry and some of those guys. So not getting a lot to them, and probably playing more Tillman. And saving money at the receiver side instead of playing those guys for tight end.
Okay. We got a few questions. I'll go back to you, Kristi, again. Tyler Davis says, what about Pop Douglas at 4,000 with no Kayshon Boutte? Any interest in Pop Douglas?
Yeah. You know what? We didn't mention him, but yeah, no, I think he's fine. I mean, he has been getting looks, and sometimes it's a little bit unpredictable how they use some of those guys. You know, you might think Diggs is going to get a few extra targets in there, but it could easily be Douglas in there. And so, yeah, I don't mind that at all. I think he's another buddy. If you need somebody to save, he should be in the pool too.
Jordan, how about you? Any interest in Pop Douglas?
I have fine with him in May stacks. I wouldn't like one off him or anything. The thing that is weird, Kyle Williams played more than Pop Douglas last week. Like it's just Pop Douglas just doesn't he just doesn't play in two wide receiver sets for them, and he gets in when he gets in the game, it feels like the touch is going his way. It's like the way Shaheed was 2 years ago, where it's like, hey, every time he's out there, like he gets the crazy target, and you look back at the end of the season, you're like, he averaged 4 yards per route run. How? It's like, well, he just got the ball every time he's out there. It feels like Pop is one of those types of players now.
Kristi, Alex asked, and I don't know if you brought him up before, but as a Vikings fan, we go into Jordan Addison at all?
You know, I didn't get to him in my 20 lineups today, but for tournaments, absolutely. He always goes a little bit overlooked. And, you know, especially if you're looking at that game and you've got some Lamar exposure and you've got some other pieces instead of doing Jefferson, I don't mind that.
Yeah. Jordan Eagles 873 says Jordan Vanek DFS is my Lord and Savior. Care to comment?
That's I'm pretty sure that's my old roommate over there, and one of the guys I've known since preschool. So definitely appreciate you tuning into the show, buddy. Definitely. Hopefully we can get some things right. And college football DFS yesterday, I had my quarterback lose the 300-yard passing bonus by having a negative 4-yard completion on 3rd and 13.
Brutal.
Yeah, and that costed me every lineup basically being in the cash. So I lost 2 lineups in the cash because Julian Lewis lost the 3. It was just one of those plays. I'm like, that's going to cost me. I felt it, and I'm like, you're kidding me.
Yeah,
that's the worst.
Negative yardage on 3rd and 13. How do you do that?
Just throw it downfield. Like you have 3. Just
you're right.
Mac asks, any love for Dalton Schultz, Jordan?
I can't get there. It's just too, like, Hunter Henry's 100 cheaper. I mean, even, you know, Mark Andrews or even Isaiah Likely are a little bit cheap. Like Isaiah Likely has been playing a ton. And again, he's a guy that Lamar has shown in the past. Like him, it feels like there's a lot of ways to pair Lamar, which is I can see why you like, Neil, where you have Likely, Andrews, Bateman all at 3K. Like it's not really that hard to correlate your Lamar Jackson lineups this weekend.
Let me tell you guys about Combo Pro. If you're looking to get NFL DFS access this season, why not get more bang for your buck with this Combo Pro deal? For a limited time, you can get your first month of Combo Pro at RotoGrinders for just $79.99. That's only $5 more than an NFL DFS monthly subscription. Don't pass up this elite value. So great deal going on right now for Combo Pro at RotoGrinders. We also apparently have a 3-day pass promo going on. If you want to try out our NFL DFS tools without a full season commitment, for a limited time, you can get half off a 3-day NFL pass and access everything you need to crush the slate. You'll get our optimizer tool, Lineup HQ. I highly recommend that. I use Lineup HQ all the time, packed with player projections, ownership percentages, and more. You'll also get SimLabs NFL, the easiest way to build smart competitive lineups in just a few clicks. All that and more for only $9.99. Don't miss your chance to get a serious edge this week. Those are the promos going on right now at RotoGrinders. Highly recommend checking them out if you haven't already done so. So we've gone through the main positions here. What about defenses? We don't have Beimfor to give us his defense pick this week, sadly. So we will have to do our best to try to find some defenses that we like here. Kristi, have you given any thought to defense yet? Do you have any that you particularly like this week?
Yeah, I do. Hopefully Jordan likes this one. Carolina. I think they're pretty cheap over on FanDuel. I mean, they're just 3,600 over there, so that one stands out. They're pretty expensive over on DraftKings, but I like that pairing with Dowdle. Another one that I think is a fine play is Bucks defense, and they're pretty cheap really on both sites. Don't mind that. Yeah. I think you can also, at the top, the expensive guys, Texans have been great all year. So if you're looking to pay up, which I normally kind of wait to see how my lineup looks before plugging in defense and things like that. But, spend up option, I think they're fine. Browns, I think, is fine. Jags, I think, is even somebody throw in the mix. But I probably have more Carolina just because of the price tag over on FanDuel this week.
Jordan, any defenses that stand out to you this week?
I will say the Panthers on DraftKings, I can't get there because of the price, but on FanDuel, I love expensive. It. But yeah, on FanDuel, we just play so slow. They're just we're gonna run the ball. That we're trying not to turn the ball over. It feels like that is just the goal of the offense. The only thing that worries about Carolina is we just can't get pressure. I mean, the Saints did just kind of trade a tackle out of nowhere to the Chargers, so that was an interesting move by them. But if we get pressure, it's gonna be fantastic.
He had been horrific so far. That was why.
Yeah, no, Trevor Penning is psychopath too. He's had some crazy interviews over his time. I mean, he played offense line. I think the Lions are an interesting one. I love the Lions offense as well, but it's like they could do it on the defensive side. I remember that Titans game 2 years, or it was last year, where they scored like 45 and Jared Goff had 80 yards passing because it was just like defensive touchdowns and kick returns and stuff. The Texans are the standout to me in DraftKings though. Just because everybody is playing the Jaguars at 2,600, it just feels like, why is that one getting 20% projected ownership almost?
Yeah.
And the Texans are getting 2%. And it's like, they're the same thing. And the Texans are a better defense. They've literally dominated every team this year. I would much rather play the Texans at their price than, pay up for the Texans. Browns are the easy chalk that I would go to. I do not like Seattle being chalk. At DraftKings or being closer to the chalk over there. But Neil, how about you? What defenses are you doing? And it's sad we can't get Beimfor because I think he's called like 6 different teams that have had a defensive touchdown in just like 20 minutes of the slate. It's not just like getting one, it's like in the first 20 minutes. You're like, are you kidding me? Like he had the Eagles against the Buccaneers when they blocked the punt. I was like, you're
just
sick.
insane. Yeah. I mean, the Browns are the one that stand out. As you said, they are pretty chalky. One of the few that's getting double digits, but like going against a really strong defense, going against Justin Fields, who just gets sacked over 3 times per game so far this year. And the Jets seem to be kind of phoning it in. So I think that we could see a big game from the Browns. They're the standout to me. I'm intrigued by playing the Jets because we're all kind of making the assumption that they're phoning it in. And it's like, yeah, but now the backups are coming in more motivated than ever because they're like, all right, I'm getting my chance. Sometimes you see these backups come in and they're just ready to go. So at 2,800 going up against Dylan Gabriel, I'm a bit interested in the Jets as kind of a contrarian defense that people aren't going to want to go to as much. Actually, they're not projected to be that contrarian. So I guess I thought they'd be more contrarian than they are. Do we bring up the Saints or just the Panthers? Because the Saints, I think, also look. The Saints look pretty good at 2,400. I'm sorry, but come on, they're 2,400 going up against Bryce Young. Like, how do you not like the Saints a bit here? Kristi, are you with me at least on the Saints?
Yeah, no, I can see how you get there.
No, it's a Minnesota thing, is what I'm learning. This is the hatred for the Panthers.
Yeah, we're jealous of your warm weather. It's just
we very much are.
Oh, I mean, I was just it was pretty cold in Orlando last night. I was up there checking out Epic Universe over there. It was a really cool park and. It's like in the 70s. It is insane.
I'm so sorry about that. 70s, that's rough. It snowed here last night. By the way,
I was just gonna say we've got snow, which I
could not.
Been about 10 to 15 degrees Fahrenheit here for the last 3 or 4 days, but apparently it's bumping back up to like a 50 tomorrow, so we're good.
Heat wave.
That sounds wonderful. This question is for you, I think, Jordan. Donnie Watson says, if you don't think Lamar is healthy, why not a cheap Minnesota defense with their coach doing what he does to offenses? What do you think of that idea?
I think it's fine. I'm not like, oh, Lamar can't be healthy this week. I'm not that team. It's just if he isn't able to run, Flores, the last time they played, I think he brought 0 at a 30% rate, meaning they blitzed like 7 to 8 guys, and he blitzed them overall throughout the game at like an 83% clip. Todd Monken was not the OC. It was Greg Roman the year he got fired. So it's a very long time ago, but it's one of those things where if he isn't healthy, then I could see it. But if he is even 90%, 95%, he's most likely going to have a different answer for that game plan, especially with Todd Monken calling the plays.
Okay. Kristi, you brought up Deebo Samuel earlier when we were talking about wide receivers. JB Yankee says, are you doing a run back on your Lion stacks? Is it just Deebo Samuel for you? Do you think you're going to like require a run back in your Lion stacks? What are you doing there?
Didn't talk about him, but I play a lot over on FanDuel too. Ertz is just 5,100. So if you're looking to save there, he's pretty cheap. So probably Deebo or Ertz are a couple of guys that I would be looking at for run backs.
Okay. Jeremy, we just talked about top tight end plays about like 10 minutes ago. So if you just rewind 10 minutes or so, you should be able to hear our top tight end plays. But Trey McBride was one of them. Sam Laporta looks good. I don't remember all the names we mentioned there. It is not a standout week as far as tight end this week. It's McBride kind of stands out from a projection standpoint, well above everybody else. And then it's kind of like pair your tight end with your quarterback, I think is largely what I'm doing. Would you agree with that, Kristi?
I would totally agree. Absolutely.
Yeah. What else? Do we have any other questions in chat? Anything else that we have not already covered? I think we've done the stacks. We've done quarterbacks. We've done running backs, receivers, tight ends, defenses. I didn't see any other questions, but let me check in on Discord. Somebody had asked season-long Sam Darnold versus Goff today. That's a tough one for me. Do either of you have a strong opinion on Sam Darnold versus Goff for season-long?
I'd go Goff, personally. I just think they're going to score more. I just think they're going to kind of put on a show. We got Anthony Mossy asked a good question of favorite stacks. Neil, what are the most popular stack that you're getting to, or top 3? I say.
I mean, I'm getting to Lamar with Rashad Bateman. I think is like the way that I want to play it is I like Zay Flowers is fine. I'll probably do some double stacks also, but I like the idea of Lamar with Rashad Bateman because I think everybody getting to Lamar, people getting to that stack, but not many people are doing it with Rashad Bateman. So I think that's a way you can play Lamar and still get a little bit different. And I will probably have some ringbacks from the Vikings. I like Jordan Addison a bit. I like Justin Jefferson, etc. How about you guys? Kristi, do you have a favorite stack on the day?
Yeah, I still like, I know the weather is tricky, but I do like that Giants Bears game a little bit. But I would say I've kind of moved toward kind of the Brissett stack today. I kind of like stacking up that Seattle, Arizona game quite a bit. I want to get exposure to Smith Najigba. I like McBride. I like Harrison a little bit too to get different. So that's probably moved to more of my little bit favorite stack on the week.
Jordan, do you have a favorite stack here?
Golf with 2 pass catchers. I'm on the afternoon only. I'm going to play 4. I'm going to just have the Lions. I will do that. But overall on the slate, it's like Golf plus Laporta plus one of the receivers. It doesn't really matter. I can make a case for either. Obviously, the preference is Amon-Ra, but that's my favorite stack of the week.
TJ brought up the possibility of doing the SimLabs thing where we each give our top plays. We can put it through SimLabs. So let's get that set up. So let's each give a top play that we want to lock in SimLabs and see what comes out of it. Jordan, you've done this before. So if you can just give one player that you want to lock into our SimLabs lineups, who do you want to lock in there?
I'm not breaking it again. I'm not putting in a Jalen Naylor to break. It was clearly not a top play. I'll put Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think he is in a phenomenal spot. Washington's allowed the most yards in the slot this year. Amon-Ra is obviously the slot guy for Detroit. And everybody looks at that Trey Tucker game and thinks speed, and it was mainly just slot production.
How about you, Kristi? Do you have a favorite play that you want to lock in?
I know an expert survey, one that I wanted to be overweight is Dowdle this week, just with his price. So I'll go Rico Dowdle.
Yeah, Dowdle looks great, and I will throw on Quinshon Judkins. Love me some Quinshon Judkins, so I'll throw him in there. While we're doing, AG says JT for Tunio. Love to see that. I put it out on Twitter. I've been cheering against Jonathan Taylor all year because he was one of my bigger fades in best ball. Like an idiot, I just did not take Jonathan Taylor in the second round, and I took a ton of DJ Giddens in the final round. So all year I've been cheering against Jonathan Taylor. Today, though, I have one remaining eliminator team, and I've got Jonathan Taylor. And for the first time in weeks, my opponent does not have him. So I finally get to cheer for Jonathan Taylor. And I got to say, this is fun. It's way more fun to cheer for Jonathan Taylor.
He has 210 rushing yards and 2
He's
TDs.
Insane. He's so
It's insane.
He's having a Barkley year. Like he's having last year Barkley, and I can't wait to say I'm fading him. I can't wait to say I'm fading. Neil you'll get the fade right next year.
Yeah, one of these years I'll get the fade right. All right, so here's our is this our top lineup on the far left?
Mariota's popping.
Mariota is the quarterback.
Yeah, top
no
three
kidding.
lineup all popped out Mariota.
That's pretty crazy. I would not have expected. I don't think any of us brought up Mariota. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but was not a big
Probably
target of
pushing.
mine.
I mean, it's pretty simple to say like he's gonna throw everything to Devo if he's gonna do it, and he's been running a lot. Yeah. That's like the other.
He's probably
thing
more the
he's
cash game guy too. I think that's popping. If you kind of look at both sides.
Yeah,
that's probably true. Browns chalk defense pops. Yeah, so we put in some chalkier players too. Judkins looks like we have a 19%
That's
here,
probably
Dowdle 34%, Amon-Ra 17%. So it's like, all right, you want to play the chalk? We're going to throw in a 4% own Marcus Mariota at quarterback.
McCarthy, nice.
All right, there we go. JJ McCarthy pops in there with Jordan Addison, Zay Flowers. Bring back. But these lineups all look good to me. Like they're all stacked up well. They make sense as far as lineups that would pop. Would you guys do you see anything that interests you here?
I mean, the JJ McCarthy, if you're going to play like JJ or Zay Flowers in that run back, having McCarthy and Addison makes sense. That's the type of stack that is the way to play that game uniquely.
Right. We talked about Addison a little bit as kind of the lower owned receiver too. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that is
third one looks really beautiful, except I would want to sub out George Kittle for Juwan Jennings. But that one looks pretty crazy to me just because you're still getting access to Puka Nacua and then a run back in that 49er game with this kind of cheap stack and playing it without Justin Jefferson and just with Hawkinson, the cheap tight end. That's, I think, a pretty interesting way to get to that game, because then even if the Minnesota offense fails as a whole, if you get one touchdown from your cheap quarterback to your cheap tight end, that's all you really need.
That's true. TJ, before you go, can I ask you, because you brought up wanting to switch out George Kittle for Juwan Jennings, and we actually just got a question about the double tight end. Alex asked, I have a quick question about roster construction. How often is a double tight end lineup viable? I often get to these builds and I'm curious about their profitability. Are you not a fan of the double tight end, TJ? Is that why you want to swap out George Kittle, or what do you think of double tight end lineups?
Depends on the slate for me, and I'm okay with double tight ends in certain situations. I just like, in general, Juwan Jennings a lot better than George Kittle, the player today, not necessarily about the position. I do have some lineups. We're talking about Bateman today. I have one of my favorite lineups that I threw into a tournament today was fading Zay Flowers with Lamar Jackson and playing Bateman, Likely, and Andrews. Doing the Lamar triple stack with the double cheap tight end. And that's another one of those ways that all of a sudden I could, with Lamar Jackson, I can still play two of JSN, McCaffrey, and Puka.
Yeah, and there's no reason you can't play those two tight ends together. Like they're on the field together a fair amount. Do either of you, Kristi, do you have an opinion on double tight ends? Is that something that you avoid? Is it something that you're just like okay with it if it pops in your lineup? How do you feel about double tight end?
Yeah, I'm okay with it if it pops into my lineup. And I think today is one of those days too where I, like over on DraftKings, playing 20 lineups over there too. And there's some opportunities with some of the cheaper Hunter Henry options. And it really makes things work, especially if you're looking to pay up for, TJ was talking about if you want to get Puka and JSN and, a high spend up running back like Dowdle and things like that, or even McCaffrey. So I don't mind that. And I think today is one of those days where it kind of works.
Yeah, I have no issue with double tight end. Jordan, do you see it any differently?
It basically, the way I go about it is looking at my sub 4K options at receiver and just looking like, okay, which is how do I compare like 3,900 Jerry Jeudy versus 3,900 K Dotton. Like I would rather play Jeudy in tournaments from a ceiling perspective. Obviously, it's a fine play. It's just one of those, like, I usually like it when it's very correlated And I usually like it when I don't have a ton of cheap options, which this week I don't. Like there's not a ton of cheap receivers that I absolutely love. Kyle Williams is the only 3K gross option I even have in my pool.
Yeah. We also got this one question that we can finish with this and then just give our favorite plays once again. But Jordan, I know you're a Panthers fan, but I think you're also sort of a Miami fan, or maybe it is because the colors are close and they're both in Florida. But I think you also have strong Miami opinions. We got the question: thoughts on Miami's offense? Anybody you like there today?
Oh, I just live near here. I live in South Florida, so that's why people. And I also was defending Tua at one point.
That's right.
In my time. Well, I mainly that they could be good in that first year, and I played Tua, Tyreek, and Waddle against the Ravens, but I didn't play Mark Andrews, and I lost. Besides that, I think this offense, like this divisional game, is always super competitive. Like it feels like the last 3 years, like the Bills just dominate the division, but they don't just overtly dominate their opponents. Like I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago they got swept by the Jets. And it was like they fired Ken Dorsey that year and promoted Joe Brady to the OC. This year, the Dolphins were incredibly bad to begin the year. And then they played the Bills on a Thursday night, and every person with them in their survivor had to sweat the Dolphins having a roughing the punter penalty that caused them to not have an opportunity to truly win the game, and then Tua threw the pick at the end of it. This is a game where Achane and Waddle, you can play them in tournaments if you're getting to Allen. I think both of them would be an intriguing way to try to fit Allen into it, and going Allen with Kincaid, because both of them will likely be needed to carry Allen to that GPP type of score and push their offense to put up numbers.
All right. So looks like Crunch Time is ready to go. So we'll just finish with what is winning the Millie Maker today. Kristi, I'll start with you. Do you have any thoughts on favorite plays? What do you think is going to win the Millie Maker today?
I'm going to kind of go back to, I kind of think, Jordan's onto it, like just completely stacking up that Detroit game. I mean, we've seen some Millie Maker takedowns with that and just getting like Jameson Williams and just kind of going full onslaught there. So I think that one's going to take it down today.
Like that call, Jordan. It sounds like you were on that page also. Is that also your call? Is it the onslaughts from the Lions? Anything else you like today?
Oh, yeah, the onslaught of the Lions is always in play. I saw someone just ask it, can you include Gibbs in your line stack? Yeah, Bijan went for over 100 yards receiving against this Commanders defense with Kyle Pitts getting 70 and Drake London having 150 yards, I think, as well, or something absurd in that game with Michael Penix throwing, I think, for over 300. But the other one I would like to put out there is that Kyle Monangai, I think, will be the running back to have this week. I think everybody being it.
I love that.
Maybe it's because I learned my mistake with Rico Dowdle.
Love it.
Maybe it's like, hey, this guy's better. Let's just play him right now. I think at 5,600 over on DraftKings at 7% is a fun one to go.
I think that's a fun call. Also, I'll throw out Quinshon Judkins. To me is just the one that stands out to me. So I'll throw out Quinshon Judkins wins the Millie Maker today. Now I think I can summon TJ guilt-free at this point, because it is time for the two-man booth of Crunch Time to come on. So TJ, can you guys join us here? All right, there they are. We've got TJ, we've got Will joining us, about to take over.
Two Panthers fans and two Vikings fans all on the stream.
Oh man, time. This is
what a winning group.
What a winning, yeah, like you're right. This is the
one of us actually is a winning group, Jordan.
That's true. It doesn't feel great. It's a very you got shut out twice.
There is a team that's above 500 on this show.
It's true,
man. Congrats!
I can't tell you how much I've seen that meme this week with Tiger Woods and John Daly standing next to each other, and with 5 and 4 with the Chiefs as Tiger Woods, 5 and 4 with the Panthers and John Daly.
I still have a tweet of the Panthers winning over 10 games this season. So it's still alive. It's not the way I predicted. I did not think the Patriots and Jaguars would beat us. And I also didn't think we beat the Packers. But, hey, we'll take our wins when we get them.
Nice. Yeah. So, TJ, we've gotten your opinions a bit already throughout the show. Will, do you have any break the slate thoughts? We just went over that what we think is going to win the Millie Maker today. Do you have any big thoughts there?
I do. My thoughts are feels like nobody wants to get involved with the Rams today on the road in San Francisco. And by the way, the game total is exactly the same. Rams look really good to me today. This group has been able to put up points. I feel like San Francisco is going to put up just enough resistance for Matt Stafford to have to keep throwing late in this game. So a little bit more expensive because I do know like Jared Goff and Amon-Ra Jameson are much cheaper than some type of Stafford, Kyron, Puka, or Devontae stack. But bottom line is, man, this team has been producing. And so I do really like that game in a nutshell on both sides. Cheap receivers on the San Francisco side as well. So I don't have to feel bad about playing Stafford and Puka and then running it back with like Juwan Jennings or Kendrick Bourne. It can be done. I really
fun.
like that game today.
There you go. I like that call out. Also, Rams looking good. All right, we need to go get out of here, make our lineups, etc. So we will leave you guys to it. Good luck to everybody today, and we'll see you next week.
Thankfully, my lineups are set and made and already good to go for the rest of this slate. And so just ready to break it all down, chat with the YouTube chat, with the RotoGrinders live stream Discord, get your questions in both of there, smash the like button if you are watching on YouTube. My name is TJ Zwarych, ready to chat this slate with Will Priester, the Chief. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good, man. I'm glad to see you, brother. I feel like it's been way too long during the football season. Last week was my wedding anniversary. For everybody that didn't know that, which is why I was kind of out last weekend. And I but for whatever reason, I think I forgot to let everybody know. But yeah, my wedding anniversary. So I try to take that time and make sure I actually detach from DFS and everything during that time, TJ. That's just to make sure my wife knows, hey, it's all about us right now. But at any rate, man, glad to be on. I actually like this slate, so glad to come on and talk through it with you and try to help these people get prepared to make a little money.
Absolutely. And you do get a double dose of TJ and Chief tonight because we will be back live at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time tonight talking about the Sunday Night Football Showdown slate. So make sure you come back and join us later when you're subscribing, when you're hitting the like button, hit that notification bell as well so you don't miss out on any of our shows. And it's a perfect time as well. You can get access to our tools for the Showdown slate with a 3-day pass. If you want to try out our NFL tools without the full season commitment, for a limited time, you can get a 3-day NFL pass and access to everything you need to crush the slate. You'll get our optimizer tool, lineup HQ, packed with our player projections, ownership percentages, and more. You'll also get SimLabs for the NFL, the easiest way to build smart competitive lineups in just a few quick clicks. All that and more for only $9.99. Don't miss your chance to get a serious edge this week. Or if you're wanting to try out more sports than just the NFL, like the NHL, like the NBA, it's a perfect time to check out our Combo Pro package. $79.99 for your first month. That's only $5 more than NFL. So if you want the NFL package, you might as well just get yourself a Combo Pro for only $5 more for your first month. You get access to all the tools for all the sports. Make sure you check it out. Will, you talked about liking some Rams stacks today. For those who missed the crossover here, they're just turning in now. Feel free to reiterate why you like the Rams, and then let's talk some stacks before we go position by position here. Who are the teams you're going to be looking to target?
Yeah, so man, once again, when I said I like this slate, I do really like this slate. But once again, I will start with the Rams, and I'm including the Rams, TJ, but partly because I think getting Stafford, Puka, and a Juwan Jennings on the other side, Stafford, Devontae, a Kendrick Bourne on the other side. I really like that today. Outside of the Detroit team, which I do think will be able to put up some numbers as well. How about this one, TJ? And it's not off the beaten path, but I have not gotten this guy right this season, but I think Drake May, Stephon Diggs, and one of the Tampa Bay receivers on the other side is another good stat to attack from the early slate of games, TJ, just because I do really feel like this one should be back and forth. Another really nice total. I know we got it's still pretty warm there, so I do really like that game. And then also on the late side, what are we going to do? Isn't Jackson Smith and Jigba like the best DFS receiver of the century this year? So pairing him with Sam Darnold and possibly getting Marvin Harrison on the other side. Marvin Harris had a really good game against Dallas. Can he have some repeat success with Jacoby Brissett in this Seattle game, TJ? If he does, he's only 5,300. So the Darnold, JSN, and Marvin Harrison on the other side is good. I know Raheem Shaheed is there also, but JSN, he's still the primary guy. So those are some of my stacks. So Seattle with Arizona on the other side. Rams stacks with someone from San Francisco on the other side. And then the early game, Drake May and Stephon Diggs with the receiver from Tampa Bay on the other side. Really like those.
I'm with you for a lot of these stacks as well. My favorite today, I think, is going to be Detroit. I love getting some Detroit onslaughts. And the majority of my high entry stuff is Detroit triples or doubles and Baltimore triples and doubles. That is where I'm getting to the majority of my entry fees, but I am doing a 20 entry max as well. And that's where I'm doing some of my weird stuff, right? This isn't as weird, but I'm with you with the Ram stuff. I do like them as a large field tournament stack today. Get into a fair amount of them. I'm getting to some Dylan Gabriel with the Browns. Not because I like Dylan Gabriel, but if you play Dylan Gabriel with his two super cheap receivers, you can play Puka Nacua, you can play Christian McCaffrey, you can play Jackson Smith and Jigba all in one lineup. And so that's what it's more about for me today. It's more about jamming in the studs than it is what stack I'm going with. And so I'm trying some super cheap Davis Mills, Dylan Gabriel, Tyler Shuck, JJ McCarthy, things like that in terms of some large field tournament stacks today. But we'll get into it with position by position, talk about our cash game options, talk about who we like the best today. Are you playing more on FanDuel or DraftKings today?
Believe it or not, more on DraftKings today.
All right, so we'll both kind of cover both of them together then as we go through position by position here. Let's start at the quarterback position. Josh Allen is actually the guy projecting with the highest optimal rate. JJ McCarthy coming in right behind him. It feels weird to say, Chief, but on DraftKings at least, it's kind of looking like the cash game play might be JJ McCarthy. He's super cheap. There's a lot of stuff we want to spend up for. He's projecting really well. Like the RotoGrinders projection has him well in the blitz. He is the clear top cash game option for his price. What do you think about JJ McCarthy as a potential cash game option in DraftKings today?
Yeah, I mean, I think the bottom line, TJ, is we don't really have to sell anybody on the situation because he's just cheap, right? Against a Baltimore team that hasn't really proven to be stellar this year so far. So at 4,900 at home, so I like our chances here. A guy that does have some rushing ability. Now we're not saying he's going to run around and rush for 80 yards, but it's there, right? And so the ability for a rushing touchdown is there. He does have one of the best wide receivers in the game, and I think hopefully, TJ, he's getting more comfortable and hopefully he can stay healthy. And as he gets more comfortable, I know that doesn't have anything to do with DFS per se. That's more of the real life perspective. But as he gets more comfortable in his offense, he should progressively get better game to game to game because he's getting more reps. And so this is a game at home where I think he'll have some opportunities. So I agree with you at 4,900 in cash. I mean, feels great to me because now I can get all the big spins I want or a fair amount of big spins that should give me some really high floor ceiling combos at the running back and wide receiver position.
I don't love it personally. The projections are high. I'll probably end up being wrong. I'm personally not playing cash today, but if I were, I think on DraftKings, I would either be looking at the spend up route to Jackson, Allen, May, honestly, whichever one fit my lineup. If I could afford Allen, great. If not, I'd settle for Jackson. If not, I would settle for Drake May. And then in the cheaper range, I don't mind the idea of getting to a Jackson Dart or even a Jared Goff. This is the 1 week so far this season where I think quarterback is maybe the least important position in your cash game build. I think there are lots of different options you can go with and probably a few more at these other positions that are going to be staples. And it kind of just depends with how much salary you have left. So I think I'd personally go away from JJ McCarthy in cash, but that is certainly what the projections are telling you to do over on DraftKings, either a spend up to Josh Allen or a spend down to JJ McCarthy. On FanDuel, I think it's a different story because McCarthy's priced up a little bit more. I don't really think he's cash viable over there personally. I'd way rather go to a Marcus Mariota who's only 6,300 on FanDuel. To me, that's the clear cash game option. Running quarterback at 6,300 who's going to be in a passing game script all game long.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all. And once again, man, like you said, 6,300, basically right above the minimum on FanDuel for a guy like Mariota. So love that call. Wouldn't argue with you there, TJ.
All right, let's start talking about some of these tournament pivots here. In terms of my pool, the guys that I'm getting to the most for DraftKings today, I'm playing, like I said, my high dollar stuff is going to be Jared Goff and Lamar Jackson. Those are the two that I'm getting to the most. And then in my 20 entry max, I have a mix of a couple good guys and a bunch of really, really gross stuff, Chief. I have some Josh Allen. I have some Matthew Stafford, of course. Jackson Dart, even though it's a windy game and it's probably not going to be great weather, he is a strong rushing quarterback. I still really like him for tournaments. I'm getting some Mac Jones. But where it really gets gross for me in tournaments is Tyler Shuck and Dylan Gabriel, two guys that I'm getting to a fair amount here in large field GPPs.
Oh, interesting, TJ. Good guy. Yeah, that's definitely gross, but I get it. I think for me, if I'm spinning up, TJ, believe it or not, in terms of just like competitive games for me, it is Matthew Stafford, like just for me. But on the back side of that, if I had to choose between Lamar and Josh Allen, it may in fact be Lamar today, just because I like the controlled environment. Nothing against Josh Allen; he should have a field day in Miami, but I think it's Lamar for me. On the low end, outside of McCarthy, I'm getting to some of these other guys that like a Sam Darnold. I talked about Seattle, like a Sam Darnold. Drake May's kind of semi high price. He's right behind Matt Stafford. And those are guys that I've talked about as well. So I think Jared Goff is like our right in the middle guy, right? Like our right in the middle should have some ownership because the offense should be humming today. Until at 5,900 on DraftKings, like I think he's a really good play. But once again, I am leaning more Stafford to be different because I think this offense gets off today.
To be clear, these like gross quarterbacks like a Shuck and a Gabriel that I'm playing today, I would not try that on FanDuel where Marcus Mariota is even cheaper than those guys. Like just give me Mariota as a cheap option all day long. But on DraftKings, where like my goal, as much as I can, is to play minimum 2 of McCaffrey, JSN, Puka Nacua, but sometimes even 3 of them, and I can do that with those really crappy quarterbacks and they're really cheap stacking partners. So I am getting to a little bit of them today. Other guy that I didn't mention much, but I would want to touch on more is Drake May. I do think he's a really great option today. You talked about stacking him with Stephon Diggs. You play him with Hunter Henry, play him with 3K flat Kyle Williams. Lots of different ways I think you can go about the stacks today with those quarterback options. But from a cash perspective, just to reiterate, DraftKings, it's either a spend up to Allen or Lamar or even Drake May, or it's a spend down to JJ McCarthy. I prefer the spend up side of that. But it's kind of one of those things where you can leave that position for last. And even if you get Jared Goff, somebody like that, that's fine. Like that's not bad. It's not a position where there's a set in stone option today. On FanDuel, I do think it's a very clear Marcus Mariota, running quarterback, passing game script, super cheap price tag. Let's switch over to the running back spot. And we've had some questions about these guys already, Chief, with Rico Dowdle and Quinshon Judkins, some potentially chalky options today that do still look pretty good, sorry. We have Christian McCaffrey up top. That's like, I guess, where I want to talk about more. How much are you prioritizing McCaffrey versus the spend up receivers like a Puka, a JSN, and Amon-Ra St. Brown that we'll get to next?
I think I would be prioritizing McCaffrey over Amon-Ra. Maybe not necessarily over Puka or JSN, just because I feel like they're just so heavily involved in these offenses. Like they have some of the more stable target shares. I will say this now, Amon-Ra has seen he's kind of stabilized, probably averaging like 8, but we don't really see Amon-Ra hit 15 targets. Do you get what I'm saying? And I'm not expecting him to hit 15 targets today because essentially I think
there's just more options, right?
Yeah,
there's just more options.
Yeah, so Amon-Ra's my odd man out in the high tier versus McCaffrey, but like Puka could legitimately get 15 targets in a game where they win by 20. Same thing for JSN. I mean, you get like those two guys could legitimately get 15 and still win big. If the Lions are up by 20 points, Amon-Ra may in this game with 7 targets. Like it's just how it is.
Agreed 100%. That's how I would rank them as well. I think I got it Puka, JSN, basically a tie for 1, with Christian McCaffrey next, Amon-Ra St. Brown last of that group. I think I'm only playing Amon-Ra in Jared Goff stacks. Otherwise, I'm going throughout these different options. I'm personally like, if in cash, you have to play, I think, 2 of Puka Nacua, Jackson Smith-Njigba, and Christian McCaffrey. I think McCaffrey is probably my odd man out personally, just because Quinshon Judkins and Rico Dowdle look like some really, really good cash game options tonight on both sides. Like Dowdle 8K, Judkins 7.6 on FanDuel, significantly cheaper than those higher tier options. Like I think both of them look like really good cash game options on both sites. And so McCaffrey is absolutely nothing wrong with playing him. He is an incredible cash game play today. I just think I'm going to prioritize JSN and Puka and then roll with Dowdle and Judkins there. Who are some of your favorite tournament options other than these guys? I'm personally going to be heavily underweight on Devon Achane. That's the one guy that I'm probably most afraid of being underweight on because he is going to have heavy ownership today. I do have a little bit, but not very much at all. I like James Cook quite a bit better than Achane today, so I'm just going to be doubling the James Cook ownership, and that's why I'm light on Achane. If Achane outscores him, probably not going to be my day in those lineups that I'm choosing between those two. I like Trevion Henderson as my favorite cheap guy. Coach speaks saying he's going to have a bigger role this week. He already had, I believe it was 20 touches in last week's game, or 18 touches in last week's game, 4 receptions and 14 rushing attempts. Almost bell cow work. Should see a little bump this week. And although Tampa is a really tough team to run against, they're a great team for a pass catching running back. And I could see a lot of, I like Trevion quite a bit. The only other cheap guy I'm going to take a shot on is David Montgomery in like my main lineups.
Yeah,
I do have.
Could fall in the end zone 2 times in this game.
Exactly. I do have a touch of Kyron Williams, a little bit of Kyle Monangai, and that's mostly it for me today. I do see we have a question of like Monangai, if Swift is limited or out. He's already announced in. Like DeAndre Swift is playing. I do kind of still think Monangai is going to be the lead guy, especially the guy at the goal line, though. And this could be a game with the heavy wind that the Bears just run the ball 38 times, and both of those guys almost get 20 touches today. So I do have Monangai in one of my lineups, but not somebody I'm heavily targeting. I like Montgomery and Trevion Henderson both better. Who are some of your running back targets today?
Well, I mean, you mentioned James Cook. I actually think James Cook might be my favorite running back. One of my favorite running backs on the slate, just because of the amount of work he's been getting, the opportunity. So unless they're on the 1 yard line, TJ, he's getting pretty good opportunities to get into the end zone. So that's and not only that, TJ, he's created some of those by just hitting some of those 10 to 12 yard rushes for touchdowns, 20 yards. So I like the fact that he's got some good touchdown equity for himself, whether inside the red zone or outside. I like him quite a bit. Obviously, I will say this just to kind of talk back about McCaffrey. His ownership isn't as high today in a general sense. I think just because of kind of how the slate is. So I do still think he's one of the better running backs, or one of the best running backs for upside on both sides. I mean, this guy, he'll probably have 6 to 8 targets in this game, TJ, and 15 to 18 carries. Like he will have his opportunities. The question is, if McCaffrey gets in the end zone 3 times today, he's a slate breaker, because at that point he's probably got at least 60 yards rushing, TJ, and probably 50, 60 yards receiving on that. So I just, once again, that's why I really like McCaffrey. Not saying he's going to get in the end zone 3 times, but they will need him to be involved too, I think, keep up with the Rams. You mentioned Rico Dowdle. Boy, I mean, Carolina's just finding running backs all over the place these days, and he's done really well for us at 6,300, picking up a fair amount of work at home against the New Orleans Saints. Please don't let me down, Panthers. Please win this game. Pie to the face for TJ.
Hey, I'm shooting for that first overall pick. We're both cheering for the Panthers.
Yes, I got you. I got you. Here's an interesting one, TJ, where I think we're kind of on one side of the game and maybe not as much on the other side of the game, like you mentioned Henderson. But I mean, Rachaad White against New England, he's going to have to get some work, isn't he? Like, I know he hasn't been great, but man, like, we're expecting this game to be competitive. So he's got to get some touches, and he's not getting much ownership. Once again, not saying I don't think he's better than like a Rico Dowdle or Judkins in this spot, but at the lower ownership, I think he's worth a flyer.
Yeah, if it, like, to me, like, his struggle didn't really bother me just because the volume was there. Where I worry is Sean Tucker got 12 touches last week, including some goal line work. So that's what kind of took me off of Rachaad White personally. I think if I'm looking for like a direct pivot, Kyron's going to be that guy for me today off of a Quinshon and a Dowdle. Kyron Williams is probably that top guy, but I'm eating the chalk personally. I'm not pivoting. I'm just playing all the Rico Dowdle and Quinshon Judkins today. Let's switch over to the receiver position, Chief. We've already kind of teased this top group of Jackson Smith and Jigba, Puka Nacua, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think we both kind of rate them. Puka and JSN, coin toss, kind of.
Yeah. I mean, they could very well both finish with 25 fantasy points, and it wouldn't surprise me. They could both finish with 35, and it wouldn't surprise me at all. Like that's kind of where I am. So coin flip, I think just take who you like the best. Honestly, TJ, man, if you can get them both, like, why not? But I personally am unable to do that today. But I think, I think you take one, and in this particular case, TJ, let's say you're building a lineup and you really like it, and you can only get one. I said build another one the same way and just replace it. They're only $100 difference, and if that means you gotta flip a defense or something, if you're right there, then just do that. But that would be my call, honestly, between those two guys if you want to get both of them in. Just play them both.
From a cash perspective, Zay Flowers is the clear first cash game player in today. He's cheap on both sides. He's going to get a lot of volume. I think my personal favorite route, now again, if you're playing McCaffrey, you obviously can't do this. If you like McCaffrey over JSN or Jackson or Puka Nacua, that is not wrong. That is totally A-okay. We are splitting hairs here. I think my personal favorite route from a cash game perspective would be Flowers, try and get JSN and Puka Nacua, and then you, as your last spot in the flex position, you spend down for a Juwan Jennings, and that's where you get your San Francisco exposure, is through Juwan Jennings in that way. That's my favorite way to go about it, but there are no wrong answers here. I think PJ Washington is an incredible play on both sites. He's only $5,600 on FanDuel, $47 on DraftKings. Love this spot for PJ Washington. It's a tough matchup, but he should see a lot of volume. And so I'm a big fan of him, either as a pivot off of Jennings or in addition to Jennings. I'm going to play still some Amon-Ra St. Brown, but that's exclusively in Jared Goff lineups for me personally. Other guys that I'm getting to a lot today. Emeka Egbuka is projecting for some ownership. Personally, that's a guy that I'm pretty comfortable fading. He has struggled against man defense this year. He's dominated zone. He struggled against man. Now he's facing one of the teams that run one of the highest rates of man in the NFL, and Christian Gonzalez is probably going to shadow him. So I'm not a big fan of Emeka Egbuka today. I'm basically because I'm spending up for Puka Nacua and JSN so much, with Devontae Adams being my next favorite spend up of the group. Most of my other receivers are really, really cheap. And so I'm getting to a ton of Jennings in Washington. I'm playing a lot of Jalen Lane for the Washington Commanders today. No Luke McCaffrey. I think he's going to be stepping up into a bigger role. I really like him today. Some Cedric Tillman at really cheap. Tez Johnson is another guy I'm going to. Outside, and then Rashad Bateman and Kyle Williams are the other two cheapies that I like a fair amount. Outside of that, it's receivers in my stacks. So I see people asking about Khalil Shakir. I am playing Khalil Shakir, but only in my Josh Allen teams. I wouldn't play Josh Allen. I wouldn't play Shakir without Allen. In terms of Zay Flowers for tournaments, he, outside of a couple Lamar teams, he's getting a full fade for me because Zay Flowers just doesn't really get targeted in the end zone. If he breaks a couple tackles, catches a long one, yes, of course, he can score a touchdown, but they don't really target him in the end zone. And so I think that lowers his floor a little bit lowers his ceiling a little bit because of his high floor, great cash play. Because of that ownership, I'm not going to be getting there for tournaments at all. Who are you targeting today at wide receiver?
Yeah, we are talking about the guys at the top. I think somebody mentioned, if I'm not mistaken, about why weren't we talking about Jefferson? And here's the crazy part: like Jefferson isn't above 8K, so I think we were trying to say, okay, in this 8K range, who are we choosing between those two? I still think Justin Jefferson is a fine option. Here's the problem with Justin Jefferson, in my particular concern. He's just not as consistent this year because he's got a young quarterback. Right now, when you look at these other two guys, they got proven quarterback and proven track records of the whole season, TJ. So once again, nothing against Justin Jefferson. I think if you're playing Zay Flowers, I would absolutely be getting some Justin Jefferson on the other side, especially if you're playing JJ McCarthy. I actually think that's a great combination. TJ McCarthy, Jefferson, Zay Flowers on the other side. And I don't think it'll be too high owned. So did want to mention that. Some other guys
no problem with Jefferson whatsoever. And that, just like to echo what you said, it kind of comes down to, for me, he's great, but I like him best. But I like him less than Puka Nacua, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Devontae Adams. So he's kind of like the fifth guy in that range for me.
Yeah. And then TJ, when I look at the slate overall, really heavy drop in salary quickly this week. So like you got Puka, you got JSN, Amon-Ra, then you're kind of down to Jefferson, Devontae, then you're down to Emeka Egbuka at 7, then Nico. Like you get to the 6K and 5K range quickly this week, TJ, which is very interesting. So in that 5K range, you like Zay Flowers. I do like Stephon Diggs. I know that Butte has been
Flowers for what it's worth. For tournaments, I'm fading him.
No, I got you. You said for tournament. I mean for cash. But for me, Stephon Diggs, I know Butte's kind of caught a lot of these long balls, but man, in these competitive games, I still think Stephon Diggs is going to have his chances. So really like him. Also, I talked about Marvin Harrison Jr. at 5,300 on the other side of that game. I think he's a really good player. I think someone mentioned Wandale. I think Wandale's fine. He should continue to get targets. So I have nothing against Wandale at all. Jameson Williams, 4,900, also cheap. Parker Washington, cheap. So I just, those are some other guys I think you could throw in there. I mentioned Jawan Jennings, who's, also cheap. Just cheap guys, I think, in that range that should be getting some work, TJ. Those are some guys that I really like today. I think someone just mentioned McMillan. Obviously, he's fine at 5,700. I do like Diggs a little bit more than McMillan today for what it's worth. I think Tampa Bay, New England is competitive, and I think they have to throw the ball around a little bit more. So I do like Diggs more than McMillan today for what it's worth.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't have any interest in McMillan. I would much rather play Diggs in that spot. people asking about Jerry Jeudy. I am getting to a Jeudy in a couple lineups with Dylan Gabriel just because of how cheap he is, but no, not really interested in just like on his own getting there. Of the cheap options, like if I have to punt, I like at 3,900, I prefer Bateman over Jeudy on their own. At 3,700 range, I like Diami Brown. 35, you have Cedric Tillman. And then I don't mind Jalen Lane as a punt guy. But like in general, I would just try and get up to the Jennings and Parker Washington range as much as I possibly can. And then the other question, Coker or Naylor? Like honestly, neither. I don't like Coker or Naylor today. Don't want to get to either of these guys. Of the two, I guess I'd probably go Coker. But if you need someone that is 3,300 or less, I'd rather play Michael Wilson. I'd rather play Devon Vele, and I think I'd rather play Chris Moore than either of those guys. Juwan Jennings or Tez, that's Juwan Jennings for me, unless you're playing a Drake May stack, like, or you got Diggs already in there, you got Henderson already in there. Then I like Tez as a run back for those guys. Tight end position, we have Trey McBride as the clear top option, but he's expensive, and I don't know if he's warrant spending up on today. What are your thoughts on Trey McBride? I just can't really get there.
If you can fit him, once again, because I like that game, I don't mind it. But admittedly, he's not my first option. I'm more in the 3K range at tight end today, just to kind of open it up for me. As it stands right now, I am playing Hunter Henry, believe it or not, in this Tampa Bay game. Like him quite a bit. So that's what I'm doing. I'm okay with Zach Ertz in the Detroit game at 4K. Should be a spot where he can pick up some work. I'm okay with Laporta. I'm okay with Kittle. Like I don't feel like anybody at tight end is an absolute slam dunk must play. I mean, I'm okay with K. Dotton. You know what I'm saying? It's just a blah position today for me. So I'm not really thrilled about any one tight end.
Agreed. For the most part, I'm just playing whoever is with my quarterback. I'm getting to a lot of Sam Laporta. I'm playing a decent amount of Isaiah Likely just because of how cheap he is. But Laporta is probably my favorite overall. Outside of that, I'm just stacking with my quarterback. From a cash perspective, if I could pay up for Laporta, I would. I like him more than George Kittle at that price. If not, it's kind of just whoever fits my lineup. Hunter Henry, great. Juwan Johnson, sure. Mark Andrews, sure. Nobody really standing out today at that position. I was hoping we could get Fannin out so that Njoku would be a really good play. But outside of that, just kind of in cash, I like Laporta, Henry, maybe Andrews. And in tournaments today, or obviously McBride if you can get up there. And then in tournaments, just whoever is in your stack. Defense, I think there's a very, very clear cash defense on DraftKings, and that is the Jaguars. The reason you would not play the Jaguars in tournaments is because they're going to be very highly owned. But they have probably the worst offensive line in football, starting with their backup quarterback. I like Nico Collins today, but Jags D is the very clear cash game play on DraftKings. On FanDuel, I do still think they're very viable. But you just play the Carolina Panthers, where they're only $3,600 on FanDuel. Very clear cash defense over there because of how cheap they are. Both of those teams make good tournament options on the other sites because the Jaguars are more expensive on FanDuel, and so they're not projecting for very high ownership. They're a great tournament team there. Same with the Panthers on DraftKings. Because of their high price, they're not projecting for as much ownership at the defensive position. Browns make a nice pivot off of Jacksonville today. A couple other cheap teams that I don't mind are the Patriots, the Giants in that win game, and then just mixing and matching a couple teams like the Texans and the Ravens. Who are you targeting for defense today?
I do like the Bears. Perfectly fine with the Jags on DraftKings. Ownership's very high though. I'm semi-okay with the Seahawks, okay with the Panthers. Definitely okay with the Bills, even though you're spinning all the way up. If I'm going to the bottom, TJ, like if I'm saying, okay, who am I taking all the way from the bottom? It's probably the Vikings. Reason being is the Vikings come up with so much pressure, even though it's Lamar Jackson, I think a couple sacks might be there. and and that helps create turnovers. So perfectly okay with the Vikings at home, who I know, TJ, like they're going to dial up the pressure for Lamar today.
All right. If you got any questions, get them into the RotoGrinders live stream Discord chat first. Get them into the YouTube chat. That's where I'll be looking second. YouTube, smash that like button. Help us keep the lights on over here. DK GPP, Will, do you mind Brissett double with McBride and Harrison and running it back with JSN?
No, I don't mind that at all. I'm actually, because it's cheap enough where it makes sense. You know what I mean? Brissett's cheap. Harrison's cheap. McBride's your spend up, but then you're getting JSN on the other side. Perfectly okay with that.
Jawan Jennings or Jordan Addison, straight up?
Jennings.
What do you think about Drake May triples today? So you could play you pick a punt like Kyle Williams or Demario Douglas. My choice is Williams, and you pair him with Henry and Diggs.
I'll allow it.
I think I have one of those in my 20 entry max, actually, is I'm playing Diggs, Henry, and Williams all together with May. Thoughts on Jordan Addison? I don't mind him today. Kind of low floor, very high ceiling option. Guy that looked to some deep balls, just a matter of whether or not he gets free. Jennings or Tez, I think we hit that one earlier. We both like Jennings a little bit more, but Tez makes for a great run back when you're playing that Patriots stack. What are your thoughts on Mark Andrews today paired with Lamar Jackson?
I think it's fine. Mark Andrews is cheap enough. I think Mark is 3,900 on DraftKings, right? That's definitely
34 on DraftKings.
34, yeah, definitely cheap enough. Definitely cheap enough.
Goff or Caleb, that is a clear Goff for me today. Diggs and Parker Washington or Flowers and Jalen Lane. FanDuel cash, that would be Diggs and Parker Washington. I do think you want to get to Flowers, but Jalen Lane, certainly not a cash game option. I made a lineup where I punted tight end to get both Puka and JSN. Love that. AJ Barner today. I'm not a big fan. I like Arroyo actually as like a full-on punt, but there's nothing wrong with it. It's not a strong position. FanDuel cash, Ertz or Schultz. I would go Ertz there. Adunze, Moore, or Diggs today for a GPP, Chief?
Ooh, Adunze, Moore, Diggs. Probably Diggs for me, but I understand Rome's getting big target share when he's out there.
Yeah, I like Diggs in this spot as well. Not really getting to those Chicago guys with the big wins in that one, and they don't really stand out all that much anyways. Laporta, McCaffrey, or McBride, Achane for DK cash. I like the Laporta McCaffrey.
Yeah, Laporta McCaffrey could score 30, and that could just blow this whole thing up.
Likely and Collins, Nico Collins, or Wandale and Laporta.
Man, it's crazy. I think it's Wandale and Laporta. I don't. Davis Mills might be okay, but
I like that side too.
Yeah.
Favorite sub 5K flex on DraftKings for me, that would be Jawan Jennings or Parker Washington. Jennings would be number one if you already have him. Roll in Parker
he's
Washington.
4,600.
Yeah.
Jameson Williams is 4,900 also. If it
like that too. I'm only playing him with Goff, but
yeah.
I like that too. FanDuel cash, Puka and Judkins or CMC and Mbuka. That would be Puka and Judkins for cash.
Yeah.
Jennings or Bourne, clear Jennings. FanDuel cash, Schultz or Ertz. We answered that one already, but it was Ertz. Diggs or Jennings, FanDuel cash. I like Diggs there.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Diggs also.
QQ favorite tight end punt, probably Ertz since he's only 5,100 over there. In a DK 20 entry max, I have no Flowers and Bateman on my Lamar teams. Am I crazy? I would try and get Bateman there, but I think it's smart to go with the Flowers fade. Are you okay with Emeka Egbuka in DK cash as a last piece? Not really. He's 7K. I would way rather play Achane if I can get up to him. Kyron Williams, Judkins, Dowdle below that. So no, I would not be playing, or even at the receiver position, I think I would rather play Nico Collins than Emeka Egbuka today. I would be going away from that in a cash game. DKGPP, Rico and Manungai and Browns defense, or Swift, Henderson, Texans defense. First one for sure, Jennings or William, cash wide receiver. Is there a Williams?
Jennings or probably Jameson.
Yes, yeah. I'd go
Still,
Jennings for cash.
yeah,
Sure.
I still like Jennings more than J-Mo today because of the competitive nature of the game, I think.
J-Mo for tournaments, great. He's going to be much lower owned than Jennings. He's got the big play upside, but in cash, definitely Jennings. DKGPP, 5,600 left for a wide receiver. That would be probably Deebo Samuel, but I like Jordan Addison as a pivot. DK Cash, Goff, Tez, and J-Mo, or Allen, Shakir, and Chris Moore. That would be Goff, Tez, and J-Mo, I think.
We've hit lock
DK,
too, by the way.
single entry last piece, Kincaid or Slayton? Kincaid. And we have hit lock. That'll do it, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Jennings or Wandale? That would be Jennings for me. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. Hopefully we were able to answer your questions, and hopefully we can help you win some money today. Don't forget to join us later this evening, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. Myself and Chief will be back talking about the Sunday Night Football Showdown slate. Good luck in all your contests, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. On behalf of myself and Chief, we will see you next time. Peace.
Yep.